After the meteor shower, the whole world changed into a status window game where people used magic and weapons just like in fantasy movies. And, entering dungeons to hunt monsters, there was a car speeding down the road with a healer sitting in the back, resting his chin against the car door. Looking out at the scenery, he thought to himself, well, let's just pretend this is happening. That the world view of an entire planet suddenly turned upside down. But there was one thing I couldn't understand. The corner of his mouth was slightly turned down. I, the top gamer in this world, CMN. In a new world where reality turned into a game, he imagined himself as a useless pile of waste. Yet he was seen as a noob named Ethan. At 34, with no skills and no gear, he couldn't equip items due to low stats, and inside, he silently cursed the 10 Jack, unlike normal players. 10. Jack refers to players cursed when their level can't exceed 10. But out there, in the vast world, why did it have to be him, the legendary professional gamer? The esports industry now had him a 10. Jack. How could he handle that? The healer felt frustrated and turned to ask the driver, "Hey, how long have we been driving? Are we there yet?" The driver smiled and replied, "Almost there, just stay calm." A moment later, he turned his head back to look at him with a slightly mocking tone. This young man sure is lucky. With that much money, there's no place that would support you like this. His eyes sparkled with cunning, and his face didn't look good at all, did it? Who's still taking contracts for 500 these days? I'd rather work for free. Ethan could only awkwardly respond, yeah, while countless curses filled his mind. He wanted to shout at the bald old man, "Damn it, 500 is still hard-earned money." Suddenly, his face turned serious and a bit tense, which wasn't wrong. Right now, the healer was probably quite nervous on the way to collect the dungeon reward. This game had a few rules. Even as a 10 Jack, whenever you completed a high-level dungeon, you would still get a reward, though. It was very rare, but it did happen. In some cases, level restrictions could be lifted upon successfully ranking up. And the cost of hiring guilds for assistance was very high, averaging 1,000 per run. Those 10 Jacks, even if they were reluctant, had to begrudgingly pull out their wallets. Because in this game world, levels equated to social status and financial potential. The driver suddenly remembered and told Ethan, last time a girl also hired a guild to clear a dungeon, and after successfully ranking up, she got recruited into the player association. Hearing that, he exclaimed, "Wow, that's amazing, I wish." His eyes lit up with hope, thinking about ranking up and getting recruited into the association. The driver, while driving, glanced at him through the rearview mirror. What was that girl's name? She's been on TV a few times already. She said something like, "Our team is very united. Truly, the younger generation is getting good jobs. It's like a breeze for them." The healer, recalling his previous smile, replied nonchalantly, "Oh, yes." In his mind, he wondered why he should care what this old man thought. Did he know how much debt he was in to hire this guild for the dungeon run? That's why he was losing his hair. After a while, the car finally stopped, and the driver announced to Ethan, "We're here." He quickly got out of the car, and the scenery in front of him surprised him. The vast expanse was filled with greenery, and he thought, "Is there a dungeon here too?" The fresh air was invigorating as Ethan breathed in the atmosphere. Suddenly, a loud voice called out, startling him, "Hey, you!" Ethan turned around to see two people who seemed to be waiting for him. Yes, the muscular man was shouting at him. The air is so fresh while Ethan is breathing in the atmosphere here. Suddenly, a loud call from behind startled him. "Hey, you!" Ethan turned around to see two people who seemed to be waiting for him. Yes, the muscular man, Watong, shouted at him. "Do you want to die? What time did we agree on? And now you show up late, just stumbling over your words to explain." Actually, the taxi driver was a bit slow, so before I could finish my sentence, he cut me off with a really harsh tone for no reason at all. "Hurry up and get over here." At level 54, a mid-level swordsman from the Flame Guild, a player with extensive experience, who has served in the military, is quite capable and can handle multiple positions flexibly. From damage to tanking, the girl next to him was really friendly, raising her hand to greet Ethan. "Hi, I'm a level 47 healer." A mid-level healer from the Justice Guild in Chunshin City, a level 7 support role working part-time at the main guild in Chunshin City on days off. Watong immediately shouted like he was commanding an army. "Move to the dungeon entrance." He smiled slightly and explained to Ethan, "Sorry, Watong can be a bit rough. But once you're in the dungeon, you'll feel more at ease." He's a seasoned veteran. At that moment, you were just standing there mumbling, yeah, while secretly admiring how strong this guy looked. A former soldier, no doubt. Huatong yelled, "Hey, why haven't we gone in yet?" He hurried over. "Come on, let's go." They stepped through the gate leading to the dungeon, and the three of them first arrived at the first level of the forbidden dungeon, where a lizard monster appeared as they approached. The prey immediately charged at them, claws raised towards Ethan, leaving him confused and frozen in place. He gritted his teeth, wondering why these monsters were always lurking around him. The tank should be the one attracting the monsters, right? Seeing him standing still, Huatong dashed forward. "Hey, you!" He swung his large sword straight at the lizard. "What are you standing there for? Get out of the way!" Ethan stumbled back, grinding his teeth, blaming himself. Before he could get hit, he might have been knocked out by this guy. This has happened several times since entering the dungeon. And already on the first level, making such a rookie mistake, Huatong handled the lizard by himself. He raised his hand and shouted, "You!" as he stabbed his sword straight into its neck. "It's definitely dead now." Just a moment later, all the lizards were taken out by Huatong, who seriously asked Ethan, "Come on, I told you to pay attention. Are you okay?" You were stunned looking at the pile of monsters on the ground, casually replying, I'm fine." Huatong, upon hearing this, announced, "The first level is almost cleared. Let's move on to the next level." Ethan slightly opened his mouth. Okay. In his mind, he smirked, "Whatever, just endure this half-hearted tanking." Suddenly, Huatong stared at him, saying, "But before we go on, you need to settle up." Ethan was confused, not understanding what he meant. Huatong pouted, counting on his fingers, then held them out in front of Ethan, signaling for his payment. Once at the entrance, twice over there, and twice over here. He seriously asked, "So, that's a total of 5 times, right?" The god slowly started to understand and asked in confusion, but suddenly, why were there extra costs? "I paid everything off yesterday." Huatong casually replied, "Oh, didn't you know? Saving a life costs 1,000,000 won." Ethan exclaimed, his eyes wide. "What? Why am I just finding out about this now?" Huatong looked at him as if he were an idiot. "Where am I supposed to find a support leg for 500? His face twisted and the smile on his lips looked quite dangerous. "If you don't want to pay the extra fee, that's fine. But from the second floor onwards, the monsters will be much more ferocious. Just know that if something happens, we won't take responsibility." The god wouldn't back down and scolded him, "You're such a scammer." That last line of yours really ticked him off. "How can you accuse a good person like that, you jerk?" The god was feeling quite confused, glaring at Huatong and thinking, "I've fallen into a trap." When he first met him, he seemed very strong and trustworthy, always paying attention and sticking close to him in the dungeon just to drain his deposit and squeeze more money out of him. Now it all made sense. Since stepping into the dungeon, he had sensed something was off, and now he had the answer. The reason he was always lurking behind him was to find an opportunity to push him into danger. Just a moment later, Ethan angrily shouted at Huatong, "Don't think this guy is just some 10 jack. If you want to threaten me, go ahead. I'll make sure to remind you of your name and guild." He pointed at him boldly, threatening, "I remember it all. The Flame Guild will be in trouble when I get out of here and call the police." Huatong's eyes widened, his tone dripping with contempt and disgust. "Oh, really? What are you going to do? Call the police?" He slammed his sword into the ground to scare the god back. "You looking to die, huh?" He bent down, pointing at the god and threatening, "There's still a lizard person lurking around on this floor. You might get killed before you even reach the exit." Huatong, thinking he was strong, tried to control Ethan to do as he wished. "Do you understand the situation? I'm your only lifeline right now." He smirked, using a mocking tone to continue. "Now pay up, and I'll give you whatever you want. Come on, don't make this hard for each other. I'm scared of the police, you know." Suddenly, he seemed to recognize him. "Hey, you look familiar. Where have I seen you before?" "On TV, right. That's it." "You're the professional gamer," Huatong exclaimed in surprise, covering his mouth. "Oh my God." He laughed so hard he was almost in tears. "What was your name again? Gong Gong or something?" "Oh, Ethan, that's right." So the professional gamer is now just a 10 jack. He couldn't stop mocking Ethan, his tone full of disdain. "When the world turns into a video game, you'll be completely useless, just a professional gamer, Ethan. If you want to level up your profession, you better keep your mouth shut and do as I say. Got it?" Ethan was furious, his eyes flashing with killing intent. There are some things I always have to consider before I punch someone in the mouth. Recently, a lot of difficulties have come up. Ariel suddenly fell ill for no apparent reason, and for the past 6 months, the group has been searching for Cutter, who has been unresponsive for a year. Sora is working day and night to earn money to cover Ariam's medical expenses. This isn't the time to worry about appearances to escape this situation. I need to level up. I remember Ethan meeting someone deep in Washington. He said, "You're right, you really have no right to say such nonsense. Sincerely, I'm sorry." His voice was very genuine. "Please continue. I really want to level up." He licked his lips and his face softened before turning back to respond. "Lucky you. Seeing you plead is quite pitiful. 11 times 23 is 1078 at Gigabank. 8 million for the quick upgrade service." Hearing that, Ethan immediately pulled out his phone to transfer money to him. "Yes, sir." But in his mind, he was plotting against him. "Just wait and see. Once I level up, I'll pay back both the principal and interest." After following through with the instructions, he pretended to be cheerful and told him, "I've transferred the money." "Check it, please." He immediately took out his phone and replied with satisfaction. That brat should have been obedient like this from the start. Ethan quickly followed behind him, flattering, "I only trust you." Suddenly, a notification sound from the system rang out. Blessing system all stats increased by 5% in 10 minutes. A beam of blue light flashed from behind him. Player Ethan was astonished and turned around. The light was coming from his hand. "Wow, I'm a big fan of yours." "How come I didn't realize it earlier?" She gently tucked her bangs behind her ear and smiled. "I'm a huge fan of the game team. I used to follow every tournament and even went to the hall to watch live." Ethan hesitated to respond. Thank you." The fan continued excitedly. "At first, I was a bit unsure. Usually people just look alike." "Who knew it would be the real deal? Why then thought?" She seemed quite excited. "These muscles are just the beginning. I promise to serve you well later." Ethan scratched his head and laughed. "I'm really embarrassed. Thank you so much." Waitin walking ahead reminded him not to waste mana carelessly. Shuhyang was happily chatting with Ethan, hoping he would successfully level up. Ethan took this opportunity to get closer. "Shh, you look so cheerful lately. Anything fun happening?" Seeing the two chattering away, Kwa Tung gritted his teeth and said in a stern voice, "Stop chatting. Those guys are falling behind. Hurry up or we'll leave you behind." Both of them quickly ran over. "Yes, we're coming." Suddenly Y then tripped over a raised stone and fell flat on the ground, crying out in pain. Shuhyang immediately stopped, concerned and worried. "Oh no, are you okay?" Ethan and Wotton also didn't move on, but turned back to ask, "What happened?" Seeing Ethan fall, he burst out laughing, mocking him. "That clumsy guy thought a lizard was coming out." Ethan forced a smile, propping himself up with one hand. Inside, his resentment was rising higher and higher. "That nasty dog is laughing at me while I'm hurt." Blood dripped from his nose, and he couldn't help but wonder, why does it hurt so much? "I just fell into a puddle. Why does it hurt like this?" Meanwhile, a drop of his blood fell into that puddle, creating a strange scene. "I finally met a hardcore fan, and I'm in such a pathetic state. So embarrassing." The ground reflected a shadow that made him freeze his eyes wide open in disbelief. "What the hell is this?" Then stared blankly, his eyes fixed on the ground, reflecting on the water. Who was that red-haired figure? He then shouted loudly, calling the other two. "Everyone come here!" Wotton gritted his teeth, looking at him again. "What now?" The three of them leaned their heads down, and Wotton, losing patience, yelled at Ethan. "What are you stuttering about on the water?" Then pointed down at the puddle, saying, "There's a person with red hair wearing golden armor." He leaned down, slightly confused, and replied, "Who are you talking about? I don't see anyone." Thing immediately retorted, "I swear it's true. There definitely was a red-haired guy in the puddle, and there's a streak of blood." Seeing that Hoa Tong hit him hard on the head. "That's your blood." "What a waste of my precious time," he grumbled, turning to leave, continuing to mutter, "I'm leaving you behind." Then rubbed the bump on his head and hurriedly followed, "Wait up, this is strange." His mind was still wandering about the odd incident earlier. It really is strange. I feel like I've seen that red-haired guy somewhere before. Time passed, and the three of them climbed higher. Waitin was still leading the way. They were now on the 3rd floor of the dungeon, and he grinned widely, shouting, "I see it." Then held him back, his eyes wide with surprise. "It's a passage." There was no light in front of him, and a chilling, eerie aura emanated from within. Huatong seemed quite calm. Yes, this path leads to the final level of the dungeon. He glanced back, the corner of his mouth curling up. Wotton, hearing this, bit his lip, looking quite tense. Suddenly his arms trembled, and he shouted loudly, "Get ready! Give it your all!" She immediately complied, using her powers to assist him. Yes. Wotton's strength surged, and he looked very excited. That's right, feeling the strong is so satisfying. He stared straight at that passage. Wotton, full of energy, charged forward, his face showing confidence. "Let's go!" His eyes sparkled with an unusual determination. From B-rank dungeons and above the boss's level is random. From C rank to A rank to fight a B-rank boss, or higher, I need to be in perfect condition to see how strong this boss is. Just then, the boss appeared baring its teeth and growling, "Which foolish creature dares to disturb me?" It was a vengeful A-rank monster, the master of the abyss. A long snake filled with venom and hatred. He wasn't afraid at all and smirked confidently. A-rank difficulty, I can handle that. Igumi looked quite angry. People could sense the unpleasant smell emanating from it. It lunged forward with its long body, opening its massive mouth to pounce on him. Wotton stood in front of Ethan, protecting him while reminding Ethan, "Step back. You don't want to get caught in this." Igumi didn't look at Wotton, but fixed its gaze on Ethan. That bastard Ethan's face turned pale, devoid of blood. This was an A-rank boss, and just looking at it made him feel weak. But what is this feeling? It's as if I've seen this snake somewhere before. Igumi seemed to go mad, slamming its head into the ground, creating a loud noise. Its eyes flashed with a deadly glint. Wotton grinned oddly. This stupid snake is already wrapped around everything. He used both hands to brace his sword, thrusting it straight into Igumi's jaw. Its first attack was aimed at the weapon, a bite relying mainly on jaw strength. If I can time its attack right, I can block it. His eyes lit up, his tone extremely challenging. "Try to shut your mouth." He had guessed early on that the second attack would be venom spraying. If its bite was blocked, just as he thought it would use its poison to try to corrode his sword. "Wotton, you fool, taste my poison." Seeing the sword unharmed, he began to panic. The poison of mine was ineffective. Wotong thought confidently, but in reality this poison was easy to handle as long as he had strong anti-poison equipment. A flicker of worry crossed his mind. The issue was that he was about to be hit by a third attack, a high-level poison magic called Poison Rain, also known as the River of the Underworld, which was very hard to dodge. Sure enough, right after that, Emoji released a large amount of poison, shouting, "Drown in my venom." Just as its poison was about to hit Wotong, he immediately ordered the healer to take action. "Give me that." She raised her staff. The energy she generated formed sturdy shields to protect the Holy Flower sect. Under the effect of the Holy Shield, Wotong became impervious for a total of 1.5 seconds. He gritted his teeth, enduring this attack from Emoji. With the help of a skilled healer, he could easily withstand its third attack. Emoji realized it couldn't do anything. He was extremely furious, screaming out the disgusting holy magic at that moment. The Holy Flower sect seized the opportunity to prepare for a decisive strike. The most important thing was, after casting Poison Rain, the boss would pause for a moment. He concentrated his strength into his arm, swinging the sword fiercely. At that moment, he had to unleash a large amount of damage. He spun the sword around, piercing through Emoji's jaw. It let out a painful scream, a cry that was incredibly deafening. It used its long body to thrash around, but Wotong wouldn't let it escape. He concentrated gravity into his legs, leaping up powerfully. He raised both hands, ready to grasp the sword's hilt. Once he firmly grasped the hilt, he thrust the sword deep into Emoji's mouth. It could do nothing, helplessly screaming, "Not like this." Without hesitation, Wotong shouted loudly, channeling all his strength to eliminate it. He used his sword to slice Emoji in half, the cut sharp and clean, breaking the curse. The old man below was still watching seriously, and he was astonished when Wotong landed. Emoji had finally been completely eliminated, its blood flowing down onto him. He looked up at the corpse of Emoji, which lay stretched out on the ground, and Wotong smiled with satisfaction. That was too easy. Now he took out a clean cloth to wipe the blood off his face. After killing the boss, the mission was complete. Ethan was stunned. Is it really over? He felt something was off. Normally, after defeating a boss, the system window would pop up immediately, right? Oh, maybe it's different when leveling up. To check the status window, he immediately opened it, but nothing had changed. Wythan was still level 10 no class. How could that be? Ethan fell into panic, still the same. He furrowed his brows tightly, grinding his teeth, muttering, "Why haven't I leveled up yet? Are you kidding me?" He spread his arms, questioning the two others. "Don't you all see anything strange?" The system window confirming the boss's defeat still hadn't appeared. His voice echoed throughout the dungeon, meaning it wasn't over yet. There was likely still another hidden boss somewhere in this dungeon. Zui-ong, upon hearing this, had to stroke his chin thoughtfully, saying, "I've never encountered anything like this before." After defeating the boss, the system window usually appears right away, but the boss's vitality is gone now. Watong passed by Ethan, elbowing him while whistling, almost hitting him. "I've never encountered this before either." To avoid him, Ethan fell flat on the ground. "Where are you going? It's not over yet." "I said just follow me and everything will be fine." Watong smirked, flipping the script and jumping away. "If you want to blame someone, blame your bad luck," said the professional gamer Ethan. His next words made Wythan furious, grinding his teeth. "I've already taken down the boss for you. What more do you want?" He jumped up from the ground and tightly wrapped his arms around the collar, not letting him go. Where does this bastard think he's running off to? Come back and figure out how to get promoted. When I saw that, Hoa Tong immediately tried to pry his hand away. "Are you crazy?" "Let me go, no." I told Ethan to let go like glue, not wanting to release. "If you want to leave, pay me back quickly." Hoa Tong was starting to lose all patience. "You're really losing it." "Get promoted, of course." It's not like we're at the market buying vegetables to demand money back, while the two of them are arguing back and forth. The blood vessels on the emoji's body were connecting again. But how the hell would I know that? "Why can't you get promoted, you crazy guy?" Ethan wouldn't back down and bit hard on Watong's ear. "So, pay me back." He screamed in pain, "Let me go!" The blood vessels on the emoji's body suddenly twitched and stood up, but the two of them didn't care and kept arguing. "That scammer, that hungry leech?" Hua Tong angrily shoved Ethan down to the ground. "Get lost!" Blood from his ear was still smeared on the corner of Ethan's mouth and chin, his gaze full of determination. "If I don't get promoted, don't even think about going anywhere." Hua Tong gritted his teeth, his voice rising with each word. "So, what do you want me to do now? Promote this jack 10 times. Sui-ong stood aside, sighing helplessly, trying to advise the two to calm down and find a way out of here. Suddenly, a red light flashed, catching her attention. "What's this?" The system announces you have defeated the 10,000th dungeon boss. Seeing that, Sui-ong exclaimed in astonishment as the red system notification changed its content. The dungeon boss has been defeated, 10,000 out of 10,000, meeting the requirements. Phase 1 complete. Sui-ong looked up, his face stunned. What does Phase 1 complete mean? Ethan finally noticed the strange occurrence. "What the hell is this?" Watong shouted in frustration, asking him what was going on as the red system board began to appear. Another notification. Phase 2 of Earth is starting. Difficulty level. Ethan's face suddenly turned pale. His voice trembled as he reminded Watong, "Look behind you." He gritted his teeth and shouted back, "What's behind me?" A more terrifying monster appeared behind him. The emoji of Hatred Level A had been upgraded to a Zombie Dragon Level S. His face froze at that moment. What the hell is this? The muscles of the zombie dragon were tensing up, its eyes glinting with malice. It darted towards Hua Tong, its 3 eyes on its dragon head glaring fiercely. A cursed and reborn entity. The zombie dragon, a level SS monster, a being filled with hatred resurrected as a zombie. It is a destroyer of intellect and reason, an existence with a singular purpose, hatred. The atmosphere in the dungeon felt frozen. All 3 stood as if paralyzed. Ethan sat on the ground, bewildered, thinking about level SS. Seriously, Watong couldn't maintain his arrogant demeanor any longer. How could something like this be here? Sui-ong looked at the zombie dragon in horror. "This is too much. Why?" Then yelled, straining his neck and gritting his teeth. "See? I told you this is the real boss." His words snapped Hua Tong back to reality as she immediately raised her sword and said to Sui-ong, "Shu hai go." She shakily lifted her staff. Yes, in her mind, Hua Tong thought, this must be a mistake. An SS-level monster appearing in a B-rank dungeon is just absurd. With Sui-Ong's support, he charged at the zombie dragon. I'm coming. He moved while reassuring himself. I've fought with monsters that have resurrection abilities before, but this thing probably just changes its appearance. The undead dragon raised an arm ready to fight, and suddenly looked very excited. He grinned and shouted, I'm from the Flame Guild. My name is Wotton. Just a moment later, with a single swing of the undead dragon's arm, he was seriously injured. The sword in his hand fell, and blood gushed from his nose and mouth. His teeth were nearly all broken. A loud noise echoed as the undead dragon raised its hand to shield itself, and the impact sent him crashing hard against the wall. Seeing this, Shuang rushed over, worried, and asked, Are you okay? Are you all right? She said seriously, Let me recover. Zhuang lay on the ground groaning. Damn, it hurts too much. Zhuang looked at him in confusion. What's wrong? He was almost motionless in pain, his face covered in blood. He crawled on the ground with both hands and feet, panic written all over his face. I won't fight anymore. Seeing this, Ethan quickly spoke up to stop him. Wotton, calm down. He pointed at the undead dragon behind them and shouted, You two focus on that boss and attack. But Shuang continued to cry out loudly, not stopping at all. We have to run. The god couldn't convince him, so he had to run and pull him along. Where are you going? This idiot was blocked, so he turned around and punched Ethan in the face. Let me go, you bastard. After that, Wayton ran away on all fours. I don't want to die. Ethan, still behind, yelled at him, cursing, You coward, running away like that. So what are we supposed to do? Just as he finished speaking, a loud explosion rang out, debris flying everywhere, startling both Ethan and Shuang back. Ethan gritted his teeth and cursed, That bastard! Wotton was running away like a bullet. Not daring to look back, Ethan stood up straight, mocking him. You were so cool just a moment ago. He looked ahead and silently cursed in his mind. Damn it! The exit is blocked because of that last attack. Zhuang sat on the ground, tears streaming down her face. I'm so scared. I don't want to die here. The undead dragon continued to charge forward, and Ethan pulled her hand, urging her to get up and run. How can you die like this? Stay alert and you can survive. He tried to comfort Zhuang. Giving up means certain death. Those words made her snap back to reality. He and Ethan both ran fast, looking for a place to hide. Zhuang asked Ethan, What do we do now? Facing that monster. Ethan didn't slow down and replied, I have an idea. He said seriously to her, That monster is indeed extremely strong, but its attacks are not very precise. It's likely that it lost all reasoning after being resurrected as a zombie. Zhuang felt surprised to hear that he had figured out its attack pattern. Ethan shouted loudly, continuing, We can escape by using its own strength against it. To do that, we need your holy power. Zhuang agreed to follow his lead. Then let's do as you say. But where is that zombie? The undead dragon was now angrily chasing right behind them. Ethan furrowed his brows, his eyes shining with determination. Its attack was quite predictable. And it's chasing us. If we can lure it to attack the crumbling wall near the entrance, the problem is whether we can dodge its attacks while running to the other side of the dungeon. The undead dragon was almost upon them, extending its bony hand, ready to strike down. Seeing its shadow looming over him, Ethan pushed aside his fear and continued to run. Damn it! He gritted his teeth, pulling Shuang to run even faster. Just a little more. Just a little bit more. Suddenly, a voice rang out beside him. Jump to the second stone pillar on your right. Without thinking much, he followed the command just in time. The hand of the zombie dragon slammed down, and he finally had a moment to be astonished. Thanks to that voice, he narrowly escaped death. The next moment, he lost his balance and fell to the ground. Seeing this, Zhuang panicked and shouted, Hey, the zombie dragon is right in front of us. It extended its long tongue ready to swallow both of them, and then couldn't get up to run again. He could only hope for that strange voice that had appeared unexpectedly. Even though you just saved my life, Yen said, eyes wide open, staring at the monster approaching him, but sending me to the afterlife is not the plan. That voice indeed rang out again, giving him the perfect timing. Holy light will definitely hit the target. Then immediately shouted to Shuang, Get ready for the holy light. She was a bit startled, but quickly raised her staff. She created a blinding beam of light aimed directly at the zombie dragon. The power of the holy light ignited like a flame, starting to burn the zombie dragon. At this moment, Wai Than stood up. Both of them looked up at the monster writhing in pain. It was effective. The voice continued to guide him. The silence effect will last about 5 seconds. Run towards the entrance. Wai then shouted loudly, calling Shung to the door. She immediately ran after him, but she suddenly voiced her doubt. "How come you timed it so perfectly?" He casually replied, "Just a hunch." His face still looked tense as he thought to himself, "I don't know who that voice is, but please help me just a little more." After a few minutes, the two of them arrived at the front. The exit was blocked by rubble. Wai Than was confused, thinking, "It's closer than I thought, but this pile of rubble is thicker than I imagined." He gritted his teeth and told Shuang, "The silence effect is about to end." "Get ready." She replied, trembling, "Yes, I know." Ethan turned to ask, "What about the voice? What should we do now?" That voice still assisted him like before. "In about 10 seconds, tell your sister to stay put while you hide behind the L-shaped stone pillar." The voice laid out a plan. "After about 4 seconds, the monster will notice your sister standing where you told it to. It will attack her and the nearby wall. Thanks to your sister's sacrifice, the wall will create an opening for you to escape." Those words left Wei-Than stunned. His face stiffened. "There's no other way, is there? If we don't sacrifice your sister, you won't be able to escape." Seeing his pale face, Zhuang immediately asked with concern, "Yi, then what's wrong?" Yen said seriously, "Do you trust me?" She smiled confidently and replied, "Of course. Right now, I think I can do anything." Just as she finished speaking, the zombie dragon lunged at them. Zhuang screamed in fear, "Then it's coming." He quickly reminded her, "Get back near the wall." She quickly followed his instructions and then asked, "What's next?" "Why?" Then replied seriously, "Press against the wall as close as possible and wait for the right moment." He carefully instructed, "Don't move until I say so." In his mind, he was hesitating, wondering if there really was no other choice. His hands clenched tightly, determined to survive, for both of them to live. Just a moment later, he broke into a wild smile, his eyes gleaming with reckless determination. "I choose this." Wai then shouted loudly, directing Shuang. Use the holy shield on the stone pillar in front of us." He had taken a risk by following his instincts. "Do it." It's unfortunate that you still trust him completely while he strikes. The deity stands calmly to the side, watching as it recklessly charges toward us. We have to hit him with a stick. Inside, he can't help but feel tense. Every second counts, and it could decide the fate of both bodies. It's gone too far now. I can't change direction. But this ordinary stone pillar, now it has become an indestructible holy relic as the undead dragon is about to reach it, having been pierced through the eye in the middle of its forehead. Blue blood starts to gush out, seeing that he joyfully exclaims, "It's a success!" Ethan, he smirks with delight. "Not done yet." He pulls him along and they rush away. "Now, let's keep running." She looks at him with admiration. "You're so cool." He humbly replies, "It's nothing." And the two of them run fast, starting to find a way out of here. "But how do we open the exit now?" He murmurs. "It must be in pain, writhing behind." The undead dragon is indeed thrashing around, smashing the walls and floor. It's going wild like a mad beast, and those vibrations will surely shatter the stone barrier, blocking the exit. Just then, light from outside pierces in. The exit has been opened. He brightens up, exclaiming, "The way is clear." Ethan feels safer. See, there's a way out, just as I said it wouldn't be wrong. The two of them accelerate, trying to escape. Before the dungeon completely collapses, a large rock falls right above them. He quickly pushes him aside, but she is caught off guard and doesn't react in time. Her eyes widen in horror. He smirks again, and in the next moment, a loud crash echoes as the ground beneath them shakes violently. A pile of rocks falls from the dungeon ceiling. He is lucky not to be crushed by any rocks, but he can't see him anywhere. She anxiously looks around and calls out, "Ethan, where are you?" Say something." A weak groan echoes, "Hurry!" He is stunned to see him, his expression one of disbelief. "Ethan!" She rushes over to him. At this moment, he is half buried under a rock. "Let me get you out of there." He tries to persuade her, "Don't go, don't." He immediately retorts, refusing to leave him, "Don't say that. You said we could survive together." Tears stream down her face as she kneels on the ground trembling, raising her staff. "You sacrificed yourself to save me. Why do you have to do that? Why? He struggles to say each word, breaking up. I told you, I'm your fan. Let me recover for you. I'll use all my strength and magic. Then he uses all his remaining strength to shout, hurry, if you die too. He tries to convince her that his death would be meaningless. Quick, get out of here and tell everyone what happened. She grits her teeth, unwilling to accept it. All right, saying that she stands up, but I won't give up. He turns back, promising Ethan, wait for me to return. Don't die. Her voice is choked with tears. I'll be back. Just then another tremor causes large rocks to fall, sealing the exit. The undead dragon has broken free. It's slowly closing in on Ethan. He stares wide-eyed at it, thinking, damn it, I thought everything was going according to my plan. In this situation, he can still smirk silently, lamenting how harsh this damned world is. He suddenly remembers his old teammates. Everyone, I'm going ahead. His eyes gradually close, feeling too sleepy. Finally, he falls into unconsciousness, just for a moment. Meanwhile, the zombie dragon used its claws to pull him out of the rock and lifted him up, opening its huge mouth, ready to swallow him. The zombie dragon let go, and he fell. He seemed to dive straight into its mouth, and the zombie dragon quickly shut its mouth, tearing Ethan into 100 pieces before swallowing him. At that moment, the system rebooted. Game over. 1 life left. Do you want to continue? You have used your backup life. A red display appears starting from round 2. The system has detected stored data. Do you want to upload it? The system warns if you play without being alert. The system will automatically choose to upload the stored data. At this moment, there might still be hope. The system confirms user information. His body is gradually regenerating miraculously. The system character hack code. Leveling Warrior Lucid Adventure. Do you want to overwrite the hack code Leveling Warrior data onto Ethan? The system warns if the player is not alert. The system will automatically choose to upload. A stream of bright red light emanates as the system begins to overwrite the hardcore Leveling Warrior data onto Ethan, starting at the body structure. The system is synchronizing. The light is incredibly powerful, emerging from the belly of the zombie dragon, catching it off guard. It couldn't contain the stream of light. Its face showed pain as it had to open its mouth wide to let the light spill out. The system uploads the player hack code Leveling Warrior at 1%. The process is going smoothly. The system uploads the body structure of the hardcore Leveling Warrior at 4%. A new body is being formed. The system supplements the stats of the hardcore player. Leveling Warrior at 22%. Its speed is very fast. The system summons the memories and nightmares of the hardcore Leveling Warrior at 51%. In no time, that body is nearly complete. The system dyes the hair of the hardcore Leveling Warrior bright red at 82%. Ethan's face hasn't changed much, but he looks both strange and familiar. The system uploads the other traits of the hardcore Leveling Warrior at 99%. Finally, the regeneration process is complete, and Ethan opens his eyes at 100%. The hardcore Leveling Warrior has logged back into the Earth server. His body looks stronger than before. I'm back. Just a second later, a roar echoed behind him as the zombie dragon lunged at him frantically. Ethan appeared incredibly calm. You must be really hungry. He smiled with delight. You've swallowed me twice already. You must be having a blast, but I have a habit of holding grudges. Ethan stood still as the zombie dragon charged at him. It was time for his face to show satisfaction and confidence. You'll pay for this beast. Ethan tightened his fist, exuding a formidable power. How do you like to be beaten? The zombie dragon continued to charge, madly swinging its bony arm to grab him. Then it slammed its hand down, shaking the ground. The earth beneath its hand cracked and sank. Ethan wasn't scared at all. Instead, he grinned maniacally, jumping high above the dragon. Let me handle it for you. The dragon's eyes widened with blood-red fury. Ethan tightened his fist, preparing to deliver a powerful punch, saying that he threw a punch like thunder, smashing its head, causing it to scream in pain. The zombie dragon sank deep into the ground. The noise was deafening, and the pressure from the punch weighed heavily on its massive body. Its cells began to explode, blood splattering everywhere. The zombie dragon was now battered, its blood staining the ground, red splattering high around in a blinding crimson hue. Ethan slowly landed standing in the pool of blood from the zombie dragon, exclaiming, "This is disgusting, truly a bloodbath." He raised his foot and stomped on the fallen beast. I know you're still alive. Ethan tilted his head, seriously reprimanding it. Who plays dead like this? Don't make me angry. His foot still pressed down on the battered body of the zombie dragon. A bright red display appeared again, showing the ultimate skill of the zombie dragon rebirth in hatred activated. The blood pool on the ground suddenly bubbled and churned. It could wriggle and move. New bodies were being formed, their eyes wide open, looking extremely vicious. A group of new monsters emerged, opening their mouths to emit ear-splitting screams existing from hatred blood. Demons, SS-level monsters created from the blood of dragons. The serpent monster has died twice without being able to become a dragon. That hatred has given rise to this kind of monster. Their numbers reach up to 10, and each one is as strong as a dragon, glaring at the blood demons with utter disdain, as if to say, "So, you're a dragon snake? Hey. Or should I just fry it up and still have time to lay some disgusting eggs?" The blood demons, having completed their forms, howled towards him, rushing forward like a pack of bloodthirsty beasts. He seemed unfazed, as if he had seen something and thought, "Oh." With a shout, he immediately ran towards the sword that was falling to the ground. That was the sword. Watong had thrown it away and fled. The divine sword, huh? Ethan kicked it up into the air. Got it. He gripped the sword tightly, a proud and confident smile on his face, recalling his glorious past. He lowered his center of gravity, ready to face the blood demons alone. The sword in his hand gleamed with a blinding red light, as if it were being heated. He held it firmly and prepared to strike. His face no longer bore a playful expression. It had turned extremely serious. The blood demons charged at him, their mouths wide open, eager to tear into their prey. He charged straight into the midst of them, swinging his sword decisively. He slashed horizontally at the bodies of the blood demons, his eyes flashing with a cold, emotionless glare. The blood demons couldn't even touch him. They were sliced in half. He even beheaded them with each clean cut, his gaze fixed straight ahead. His expression remained unchanged as the blood demons kept rushing at him, only to be cut down. Yet they continued to swarm like bloodthirsty fiends, their numbers overwhelming. He decided to unleash a finishing move, the Moonlight Slash, with just that one strike. The blood demons were obliterated by his attack, and the corners of his mouth curled up as if the act of exterminating these monsters brought him immense satisfaction. After finishing off the blood demons, he used his foot to stabilize himself and immediately turned his head to look back. The blood demons had been chopped into pieces, falling from the sky to the ground. He chuckled softly, feeling pleased. This move still felt very natural to him, he muttered to himself, Moonlight Slash, reminding him of that old man. Suddenly he noticed a puddle of water that had appeared under his feet. What kind of disgusting trick is this? Just a second later, a sharp object shot up at breakneck speed, created from the blood of a zombie dragon lurking beneath the ground. Now revealed, it stabbed straight into his abdomen and lifted him high. Its eyes glowed fiercely, but he seemed completely unfazed. He let out a small gasp and reached for the sharp tip that had pierced through him. Instantly, the blood demon sensed danger. Its eyes widened in horror. He had somehow escaped, and there was no wound on his abdomen. Not dead yet, huh? He grinned slyly. I'm starting to like you, you know. The blood demon felt increasingly terrified. He said nothing more, but forcefully yanked it up, lifting it off the ground. It was dragged up from its deep burial in the earth, screaming loudly. He tossed it up high and prepared to unleash his move. Perhaps it's time to end your unfortunate fate here, huh? I wonder if this move will be enough. Well then, his hand glowed red. His face turned crazed. Hardcore leveling warrior, he slowly raised his middle finger, aiming his unique sword technique straight at it. You beast! The blood demon struck by Ethan was split into 3 parts. This time, it couldn't regenerate, its body slowly dissolving into nothingness. Finally, everything came to an end. It completely vanished. He calmly returned to the ground, his face hidden in the shadows, then tilted his head back to look up. Suddenly, he raised his pinky finger. That action of his was merely to pick his nose, his expression surprisingly nonchalant. Just a moment later, the corners of his mouth curved up and he broke into a big grin. His laughter echoed throughout this dungeon. The god laughed uncontrollably, his laughter wild, and his eyes squinting as he laughed harder. He clutched his stomach, shaking with laughter, and at that moment he lost his balance and slipped. He fell hard onto his back, his teeth biting into his tongue, and a sudden wave of pain hit him, making him clutch his head and roll around, groaning, biting his mouth against his tongue, and then just a moment later, he flashed a grin. His hands ruffled his fiery red hair, truly unbelievable. It was so absurd. Ethan stared into the void in front of him, mumbling to himself, reflecting on how he could return after all this time. I really can't hold back my laughter. I made a decision and wanted to stick with it. It seems like the god of the future defied the flow of time, even if everything before became meaningless. I just wanted them to be safe, so I sacrificed everything to send the Earth back to the past, even in this new timeline. We meet again, whether by chance or fate. The memories from before are gradually merging, but they have always been what we wanted together. We've had these peaceful months. Longing for those stolen moments has returned. The world is slowly getting back on its original track. The god is rearranging everything in his mind, feeling so weak. To protect the kids in this new world, I've tried my best to level up my career, silently, enduring spending countless money and even more. And, again, spending money. Where did all my money go? That bastard has to pay for it. I remember the contemptuous and mocking face of Hoa Tong. He immediately sprang up, baring his teeth in anger, telling himself that treacherous guy had tricked him out of all his money. He had to find him and give him a taste of his own medicine. His face suddenly twisted as a ruthless idea popped into his head. Wait, why am I thinking such cruel thoughts? I should beat him to a pulp. Day after day. That's right. What is his guild anyway? Just then, the system appeared. You are the first to defeat the SS-level boss, the vengeful zombie dragon. Reading the content on the display, Ethan just let out a sound of surprise. The system sent another notification. You have received a hidden reward, a premium experience box. Seeing this, the god joyfully exclaimed, "Look, a reward!" A chest appeared before him, a premium item. The display showed the question, "Do you want to use the premium experience box?" He immediately replied, "Of course, open it right away." The chest quickly opened as he requested, and a powerful light burst forth. The god tilted his head back and laughed heartily. "Come to Papa!" The beam of light entered his body, making him feel ecstatic, his whole being glowing. It felt so good. This was the pleasure of leveling up. Suddenly, he realized something and gasped. The system just sent another notification. You have reached level 40 unlocked. Seeing this, he burst into laughter. Nice, I leveled up to 40 in one go. Just as he finished speaking, the display changed to summarize dungeon total accumulated points upon first completion 999,999 reached rank. The reward for leveling up your career corresponds to the universal promotion ticket. You can choose any career without conditions. After reading this, Ethan felt incredibly pleased. He grinned, asking himself, any career is fine. What should I play this time? But Ethan felt everything was going smoothly, his smile deepening. This universal promotion ticket is indeed top-notch. He stood before the display pondering what to choose now. Can I become a god? The system immediately responded, the god career is currently unavailable. The god felt a bit regretful. He couldn't choose it. But it's just currently unavailable, right? What now? An idea suddenly flashed in his mind. Gambler was my old career, so I have quite a bit of experience. If I could grind up to the max level like before, achieving a high rank isn't too hard, but reaching a state of omnipotence is quite difficult. However, if I use the gamble and luck of a gambler, it could still be possible. Even though the success rate isn't high, this is a high-risk profession. However, he's still hesitating, his face very serious. But what if he loses his life? Even if it's just once, if everything fails, even if he gets revived by some skill or divine item, it would be hard to change this punishment for himself. The gambler profession isn't anything special. It's just that I use it effectively. There are still plenty of better professions. Ethan rests his chin on his hand, calculating very carefully a powerful profession that is easy to control and has great potential without needing to invest much effort. He looks at his palm, mumbling to himself, thinking of something both strong and easy. Suddenly, a new idea sparks in his mind, a mage whose every spell can deal tremendous damage. And, if he could get his hands on a legendary spellbook, he could climb the ranks rapidly. Mages can use various elements, so it's rare for them to be countered by elemental weaknesses. On the battlefield right now, all his stats are at maximum, but the mana is another story. If he finds equipment that reduces spell cooldowns, he could spam magic continuously without worry. But just that would be boring, he thought, waving his hand to dismiss the idea. Hack code leveling warrior here can't just choose something mediocre. Suddenly he feels enlightened, right? My name is Hack Code Leveling Warrior after all. If I choose the warrior profession, I'll have to walk the path of the sword, but he brushes that thought aside. Just a twisted mouth. Thinking about the sword path reminds him of that old man with the beard who wanted to learn swordsmanship. He'll teach the kid properly. There are many weapons besides swords, and there's even a profession that can use them all. Just as Ethan finishes speaking, another idea strikes him. That's right, the weapons master profession can use all types of weapons without any restrictions, and any legendary equipment he acquires can be utilized effectively with weapon skills, and the equipment is extremely powerful too. But that would take too much time grinding for equipment. In the end, he still doesn't know which profession to choose. He sighs, talking to himself about how there are too many choices. How can he choose? He hasn't given up yet, continuing to search for the best option, a powerful profession. Right, who was I most envious of before? The deity suddenly exclaims, "The Dark Mage." He thinks of a profession whose name alone exudes coolness, the Dark Mage. After defeating an opponent, they will become your minions, and if you walk the dark path, you will gain powerful summoning spells, along with curse-inflicting attack skills. You won't need to kiss up to others to form a party anymore. At maximum level, you can even promote to Demon King, becoming a one-man army. But then, isn't that just copying? No way. Overthinking makes him frown and complain. Oh man, this is really giving me a headache. In the early stages, choosing a profession is extremely important for a young man weighing his options. He considers each option 1,000 healers, commanders, priests, archers, martial artists, assassins, knights, dragons, biomechs, lords, merchants, elementalists, doctors, adventurers, pirates, blacksmiths, illusionists, beast tamers, princesses, warriors, chefs, and deities, all very carefully. After considering around 300 different professions, the deity sits with arms crossed. He thinks of an unexpected profession. How about being an idol? That guy has been getting pretty famous lately, right? Just then the announcement from the system rings out. The system's selection time has ended. The god was taken by surprise and immediately shouted out loud, "Did you really just scream in despair?" The content on the display board is, "The all-purpose job selection system is disappearing, and the anxious voice is dripping with sweat, filled with helplessness, pleading, 'Please just give me one more minute.'" He still has a little hope begging, but the content on the display is gradually fading away. Just 3 seconds, let me choose. Just a second later, another notification pops up. The system has discovered a hidden event. Why didn't you choose anything? The question mark egg appears on the display. Tilting his head as if in confusion, Ethan remarks, "You seem to be quite picky, huh?" He shakes his head, his tone that of a superior. "For a greedy person like you, this is the perfect job." Then the egg disappears and the system sends another notification. You have been forcibly upgraded to a unique job. After reading it, Ethan twitched his mouth in disbelief. A unique job? Really? My luck must be off the charts. The system keeps sending new notifications to him. Unique job. You have leveled up to 7 jobs. Ethan's expression immediately changed. What 7 jobs? He held his head in despair, shouting, 7 jobs means I don't have any job at all. And that's considered a profession. He leaned closer to the display, pleading, so does that mean I'm jobless? Or should I just become a gambler? The egg reappeared on the display with a brief, blunt response, no way. Don't be so harsh. The egg, seeing this, kindly revealed, anyway, it's a unique job. It will have some useful traits. After reading, Ethan looked quite surprised and asked, traits of a unique job? I can't help but doubt if this is really true. How does that work? This is too overpowered. Just then a loud explosion came from behind where a large rock blocked the entrance. Sui promised to keep her word and brought a group of people to help break the rock. To open the way! Worried, she shouted his name. Ethan! She eagerly stepped forward, her eyes scanning around. Ethan! He calmly responded, Hey, I'm back here. He raised his hand, waving and smiling, calling her name. Sui. He grinned widely and continued, I leveled up. As soon as Sui saw him, she immediately ran over, tears streaming down her face. She hugged Ethan tightly, catching him off guard. Oh, Ethan, thank God, thank you for saving me. Ethan was flustered by her actions. It's nothing. Sui still held him tightly, firmly saying, If you need anything, just tell me. If it's for you, Ethan, I'll do my best. You're my savior. Hearing this, Ethan paused, pushed Sui away gently, and looked straight into her eyes, asking, "Are you really willing to do anything?" Sui bit her lip, determined. "Yes, what do you want?" Ethan gritted his teeth, trying to stay calm. "I know we haven't known each other long, so this might be a bit sudden. But I can't hold back anymore." Hearing this, Sui's eyes sparkled with anticipation. "Yes." Ethan's gaze turned dangerous as he spoke each word carefully, making a request of Sui, his emotions quite mixed, specifically a blend of anger and frustration. "I need a place to vent. Can you call me a taxi to take me to the guild of that bastard?" Moments later, after leaving the dungeon, he immediately went to find Hua Tong in Seoul. At the Flame Guild headquarters in Gangnam, a taxi stopped in front of the tall building. Ethan opened the door and stepped out, his face growing darker. Do they really have the audacity to use the money they scammed from others to build this huge building? Looking at the two burly men in black standing outside the door, he wondered who they were. Did they even hire thugs to guard the entrance? After thinking for a moment, I put my hands in my pockets and called out to those two guys. "Hey," I asked, and the two of them immediately gritted their teeth and shouted something. Wai Than raised an eyebrow and asked if there was anyone here named Hu Tong or something like that. "Bring him out here." One guy with a scar on his forehead crossed his arms in front of me and asked in a low voice, "Who are you?" I calmly replied that I was the one looking for Hu Tong. He started to get angry and impatient, asking again, "Who the hell are you?" I thought to myself that he looked like a newbie who just got wrecked by a boss in a dungeon. But Ethan, unfazed by his appearance, calmly replied, "I'm hardcore leveling, or no, Ethan's not done yet, so bring him out here." The guard gritted his teeth, clearly unwilling to call anyone out, saying, "Who do you think you are to talk back here?" He looked at Wai Than's somewhat pitiful appearance with disdain, thinking what kind of trick this ragged guy was trying to pull. He even pointed at me and ordered, "Stand up straight. Take your hands out of your pockets. You have 3 seconds. Hearing that, Wai then furrowed his brows. One guard stared at me intently and began counting down from 3-2. When he reached 0, he swung his fist ready to punch Ethan right in the face, demanding I take my hands out of my pockets. I wasn't scared at all and looked back at him. Just a moment later, I kicked him, sending him flying backward. The guard crashed into a group of other guards, and they began to surround me, trying to use their numbers to overpower me. Who the hell are you? Ethan kept his hands in his pockets and walked in casually. I'm not repeating myself. Is Kim Hu Tong here? The guards, unable to tolerate my arrogance, all charged at me shouting, "This bastard!" Ethan looked at them with contempt and sighed as if to say they were asking for trouble. In just a few minutes, I had taken down all the guards and walked over to the reception desk asking once again, "Is Kim Hu Tong here?" The receptionist looked at me wide-eyed and immediately replied, "The management is having a meeting on the 30th floor." After receiving the answer, Ethan headed to the elevator and went straight to the 30th floor. In no time, the elevator reached the 29th floor, and when the number 30 appeared, it stopped. The elevator doors slowly opened. Inside, there were a few more guards, all covered in blood. In an office, the phone rang quickly, and someone pressed the button to answer the call. "What is it?" The voice on the other end hurriedly reported, "Boss, someone really wants to see you." The person referred to as Boss, Kim Eon-tong, leaned back in his chair, exhaling a faint cloud of smoke, and replied, "Tell him another time." He grinned and added, "I'm in the middle of a conversation with my little brother." Kim Eon-tong, a level 70 high-ranking elemental mage and president of the Flame Guild, was a player with a background in organized crime. He quickly expanded his influence in the underworld, making the Flame Guild a well-known force in South Korea. At this moment, Hoa Tong was sitting across from him. His whole body was carefully bandaged. "I'm telling the truth." But Ion Tong still seemed skeptical. "You must be mistaken somewhere. How can there be an SSS monster in a D-rank dungeon?" Just as he finished speaking, the door to his office was forcefully pushed open by Ethan. I bit my lip, looking straight ahead, my gaze fixed on one spot, and I pointed directly at Hoa Tong, accusing him. "Found you, you bastard." Seeing this, he turned his head back, his face showing clear confusion. "What the hell, who are you, why?" Then couldn't believe he didn't recognize me. I had to remind him, "I'm the client you left behind in the dungeon." Hua Tung still looked confused and replied, "Client, I don't understand what you're talking about." Ythan began to lose patience and angrily brought up the incident. Are you really that stupid? Hua-tung still found it hard to understand, replying that the customer had no idea what he was talking about. The god began to lose patience and got angry, bringing up the topic of being foolish. Do you remember who you took 500 from? Just mentioning this, Hua-tung suddenly recalled the face that instantly turned pale 500 in the Dungeon Impossible. Were you that scruffy-haired guy back then? Ythan gritted his teeth and confirmed, Yeah, it's me, you bastard. Hoa clearly didn't believe him, astonished, asking how this could be true. How could you leave that dungeon alive? His expression turned horrified rank. No even higher than rank SS. You killed that monster. Ythan stepped closer, gritting his teeth. Yeah. His gaze locked onto Hua-tung, fury boiling over. I came back from the depths of hell to take your life. You ran off on your own, leaving your team behind. Seeing the situation was bad, Ion-tong stood up from his seat, warning, Hey, you red-haired guy. Is that mouth of yours just a minor issue? The person you're criticizing is my little brother. It's not like you can just say or do whatever you want. It's outrageous. I won't just stand by and watch. His eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Before I got angry, you better know your place and get lost. Ethan regarded those warnings as a joke. His tone was challenging, retorting, But I'm curious, what will you do if you get mad? He slammed his hand down hard on Hua-tung's head, catching him off guard while still wearing a smile. You should know how to teach your little brother properly. Right. Hua-tung was flattened by the hit blood starting to spurt out. Seeing this, Ethan began mocking him, but then spoke to Ion-tong. Why does your little brother look so ugly? Must hurt a lot, huh? What can you do now? Meanwhile, Hua-tung rolled his eyes and cursed, You bastard! Looking at his brother's deformed head. Ion-tong angrily yelled, Hu-tong! Immediately after a loud explosion rang out, Ion-tong seemed to be engulfed in fierce flames. How dare you do that, you bastard! Ye. Than frowned at the scene before him. This is intense, he wondered aloud. What is this? Ion-tong stood across every word clear. No matter where you crawled out from, he had transformed, radiating terrifying heat. You dare touch the brother of the Fire Emperor. Fire Emperor's magic spirit armor, you crazy bastard. Are you tired of living? His face twisted with anger. I'll burn you to ashes from head to toe. Why, then wasn't afraid at all and laughed mockingly at him. Who would name themselves Ion-tong? Your parents must love eating shit. Hearing this, Ion-tong got even angrier. What's wrong with my name that you dare to laugh? Ethan was drenched in sweat. He made a suggestion to him. Hey, Ion-tong, stop talking. Your brother owes me money, so pay it back. If not, you'll share the same fate as him. Ion-tong burst out laughing. He blinked and was suddenly right in front of him. Shut your dog mouth. The heat radiating from him made Ythan sweat even more. Unable to take it anymore, he slammed his hand down on Ion-tong's head like he did with Hua-tung. Too hot, you bastard! The Fire Emperor's armor was destroyed, and Ion-tong returned to his normal state. His head flattened, looking no different from his brother, seemingly in disbelief. The Fire Emperor's armor shattered with just a handful of force, and he collapsed to the ground. Was my armor worth $1 billion really destroyed so easily? His voice trembled. Who the hell are you? Even though he was knocked down with one blow, he still threatened Ethan. Do you even know who you've messed with? Our guild is backed by the Player Association, he snarled, wanting Ethan to be terrified. You're as good as dead, kid. The god dismissed those words as if they were just the wind passing by. He lifted his foot and stepped on Ion-tong's head, mocking him. Oh, so you're just a low-ranked player. His gaze shifted to the large safe in the corner of the room. I don't give a damn which guild you're from. Is the money in that safe? His voice was icy. What's the passcode? Ion-tong stared at him, wide-eyed, thinking to himself, What's wrong with this guy? I even mentioned the Player Association, but he didn't care. All the precious contributions were in there. If he didn't have enough money, he was done for. He struggled to lift his head, determined to respond. You bastard don't even think about getting a single penny. After hearing that the god removed his foot and sighed, he walked straight towards the safe. If you willingly give me the passcode, I'll only take half. His following words made Ion-tong break out in a cold sweat, but if you're being that generous, I guess I'll take it all then. After hearing him, he scoffed disdainfully, thinking about the titanium lock. No matter what you do, it won't matter. At this moment, the god stood right in front of the mysterious safe and said, "Let me show you a spell that can unlock anything." Tung immediately panicked. "What, you know that kind of magic?" He was extremely worried. He had heard of a supreme magic that could open any lock, and he knew how to decipher structures. The god didn't say anything more to him. He placed his foot on the safe. He began to chant the spell, cutting through the sorrow. He let go of his hand, gripping the handle of the safe, tightly cutting through the sorrow as he raised his hand. The screws of the safe popped out, and Tung, horrified, shouted, "How did you break it?" His mind was in utter shock. This is insane. He broke the titanium safe with his bare hands. The god felt incredibly refreshed seeing his expression. My hands can do everything. With human strength, who needs to decipher structures? Just as he finished speaking, Tung leaned on the chair. Struggling to stand up, he shouted, "Hey, you bastard!" He shouted warning that the money wasn't mine, and without it, I'd surely die right after. A whirlwind of wind aimed straight at him, causing his eyes to roll back, his body frozen, not moving at all. Magic had killed me. The safe door was forcefully twisted off and thrown at him, his beloved trembling in fear. He was so scared he nearly wet his pants as I pointed at him and raised my voice to ask, "So how can you laugh, questioning when you guys have ever cared about the circumstances of others while scamming their money?" Turning to look at the pile of cash stacked in the safe, I felt incredibly pleased, inhaling the scent of money, my nose twitching as I happily picked up a few stacks without any bitterness. I'll use it for a good cause. Neon was helpless, kneeling down, and suddenly Ethan remembered he had nothing to hold the money in, quickly glancing around the room to see if any of you had bags. His gaze landed on a nearby golf bag. "Oh, here it is." After stuffing the bag full of cash, he casually walked outside to see how the rescue team was doing. 116 people were injured, no fatalities. All injuries were not life-threatening, as he walked away looking very happy, the money in his pockets overflowing. Suddenly, he looked up at the sky and laughed loudly, causing those around him to panic, his smile growing more and more maniacal until he suddenly shut his mouth. Worrying in his mind, he thought, "What is this feeling?" Out of nowhere, he felt uneasy, like he had forgotten something. He tried to remember something. What was it? Oh, right. He quickly stopped by a convenience store to buy an ice cream, having just tangled with that Ion grilling guy, making him feel all hot. Then he sat down on a bench outside. Peeling the ice cream to enjoy, he intended to buy more to cool off, but thankfully he remembered, yet he still felt something was off. Why did he still feel uneasy? Maybe it was because he had gone a bit too far with those gangsters. So now he felt regret. Not really. Just then his phone rang in his pocket. Who could it be? He immediately became alert, wondering who would call at this hour. Looking at the name on the screen, Ethan's face showed clear surprise. It was Sora, or maybe both Sora and Ariam had awakened. He quickly answered, speaking first, "Yeah, Sora." On the other end, a hurried voice came through Ethan. "The beeping of the heart monitor is coming through the phone. The thing is, Ariam's condition isn't good." Hearing that the ice cream in Ethan's hand immediately fell, he gritted his teeth, thinking, "Damn it." So that's where the uneasy feeling came from. Right after, he grabbed the bag of money and ran straight to the hospital as Phase 2 began the dungeon emoji, and the timeline started to flow back. That's why I became a hardcore leveling warrior, and if everything continues as it is, Sora will still be. Sora in Ariam will become Ames, his face now filled with worry and panic. This also means Ames and Ariam will die in the next few days, and the image of a modern building quickly appeared before everyone's eyes. This was the Gigasol Hospital. The buildings here were all equipped with safe glass doors. A man stood in front of the hospital bed. His voice, filled with suspicion, began to echo continuously. It's really confusing. As soon as he finished, someone next to him hurriedly added, "Professor, I find it strange, too," even though we've checked several times already. But in the end, he still sighed helplessly. This person was none other than Professor Sang Juan from Giga Hospital. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. There were no signs of life except that she was still breathing. Suddenly, Sang Juan, like someone losing control, yelled out angrily, "What the hell is this?" To operating room number 3. Hurry! At the same time, his mind kept recounting what had happened in the past since the world was assimilated. Modern medicine has gradually become outdated. A simple recovery skill is far more effective than medication and surgery. His anger overwhelmed her. The nurse beside her was filled with fear. She stammered, "Yes." Meanwhile, the patient's family outside was in tears, softly calling for Ariam. Sora stood there, her eyes brimming with tears, pleading, "Ariam, please wake up! I'm begging you!" Yet Ariam inside remained in a coma, Sora's voice gradually drowned out by the sounds of medical equipment. Just a moment ago, everything seemed fine. "Please answer me." "Open your eyes, Ariam," Sang Juan suddenly urged, gritting his teeth. His eyes filled with determination as he pressed for urgency. Every second counts. However, the current situation left him feeling increasingly anxious. The vital signs on the monitor were becoming critical, indicating Ariam's condition was worsening. Just a moment later, the atmosphere in the hospital room grew tense. He urgently ordered Nurse Park to prepare the elevator while Yoon called the anesthesia department. As soon as he finished speaking, the others quickly responded, "Yes." Suddenly, a foot appeared outside the glass door. In an instant, Ethan kicked the glass, shocking everyone inside. Sang Juan and the others were taken aback by this scene. Terrified, he shouted, "Who are you? Are you crazy?" "This is a hospital." Sora's eyes outside widened in shock, her hot tears streaming down as she faced Sang Juan's panic. Ethan remained remarkably calm. He slowly stood staring at Ariam on the hospital bed for a long time before speaking, "I'm her guardian." As soon as he finished, the other party questioned him with suspicion. "Guardian? Have you lost your mind? We're racing against time to save her, and you just show up." Ethan's expression darkened unusually as he clenched his jaw, carefully considering. "On my way here, I thought a lot about the real reason behind Ariam's health condition. She's not sick," he thought, immediately asking, "Doctor, is it true that she hasn't responded to any treatment?" Suddenly, a countdown clock appeared above Ariam's head showing 09:26. This shocking sight filled him with dread. Ariam was slowly dying due to a time paradox. Even though things had become critical, Sang Juan stood there arrogantly pointing at Ethan and continuously questioning, "What do you mean? How do you know? Are you a doctor too?" Suddenly, Sora outside gasped, "Ethan!" This gentle voice quickly caught Ethan's attention, and Sora's face was now devoid of tears. She looked at him in surprise and murmured, "Ethan." Upon seeing her, Ethan was equally surprised and softly called out, "Sora." Without waiting for him to finish, she hurriedly replied, "Yes." "So you're also a guardian now." As soon as she finished speaking, the guardian across from her frowned tightly. He coldly said, "Sora, when you look at me, do you feel anything different? Like recalling a memory never experienced before?" These words left the other party stunned. She stammered, denying, "Not at all." At this point, the guardian had to remind himself, "Not remembering myself, Sora doesn't recognize me." "Right. My old memories are due to data resurrection. The method of unlocking memories can vary for each person." Suddenly, Ethan vaguely spoke, "Since when has Ariam—" Before he could finish, Sora across from him revealed a look of fear. She stammered, "Ariam is fine," until she started transforming. The image of Ariam lying in the hospital bed, laughing and chatting, flooded back into her mind, recalling that just like any other day, she had finished her meal and was chatting with him as usual. But at that moment, Sora felt the horror lurking just around the corner. However, after the status window appeared, even Ariam's eyes became filled with shock. In an instant, their appearances suddenly changed, as if they had become different people. Everyone was surprised and stared at each other, and in that moment, Sora had to comfort her, letting her know that at the same time, we were still discussing leveling up together. Suddenly, Ariel became terrified as she looked ahead, her cheeks puffing up and her eyes wide with horror, and just like that, she vomited a lot of blood. At that moment, I was really scared that Ariel might be in serious trouble. Within just a few short seconds, her eyes rolled back in terror, and the situation forced a decision from the others. So I called out to him, my voice trembling as Sora's voice echoed continuously, and just like that, after a few hours, she had become like this. Suddenly, Ethan beside me gestured for the doctor, saying, "Here, this is the overdue hospital fee." His face darkened, and a bold thought unexpectedly crossed his mind. The past 5 years were a dream I created, and since a year ago, when the world turned into a game, I unconsciously clenched my fists, and the atmosphere in the room became increasingly tense. Time continued to flow, and during the period I reversed, she could still exist. However, Ames was an anomaly in the main timeline. Ariel's radiant smile suddenly flashed in his mind, and he painfully accepted the reality that she was gone, just like Ames was slowly dying now. This was the consequence of forcing myself to go against the laws of nature. The more I sank into these thoughts, the more Ethan's expression became grim. It was truly painful, but I couldn't think of any solutions. I was completely out of options. Suddenly, Sora beside me innocently asked, "Ethan, do you think Ariel can survive?" "She can write." As soon as those words fell, the god tightened his grip to the point of trembling, and I struggled to respond, "I don't know." A thought unexpectedly crossed his mind. There was a maximum index to do something, and the unique profession was the same. When it was necessary, I couldn't do anything. Suddenly, Ariel's condition worsened. At the same time, a loud voice rang out, "Get out of the way!" A nurse hurriedly pushed her forward, continuously signaling to those nearby. "Get out of the way! Don't block the path!" Ignoring the terrible things happening before her, Sora lowered her head, muttering, "There has to be a way." Her terrified scream quickly echoed throughout the space. This was a game where anything could happen in this world. Dragons could soar high in the sky, and humans could breathe fire from their palms, yet Ariel lay still and motionless on the bed in such a world. Tears of anguish began to fall from Sora's eyes as she sobbed, "We can't save a life? It's just a game. Anything can happen." These words quickly caught Ethan's attention nearby. He began to sink into thought, and Sora's desperate scream rang like a bell, awakening Ethan's mind. Not long after, he was shocked to realize that since this was a game, anything could happen, even if it went against fate and the laws of nature. So if we applied the rules of lucid adventure instead of the real world, then that was completely possible if things were still the same as before. It had been a year since the game started, meaning the current situation was similar to when Lucid Adventure first opened its server with some skills or items. In the early game, it was possible to break the rules of this world. Images of giant serpents quickly flooded Ethan's mind, along with the moment the Forbidden Dungeon and the boss emoji appeared in another dungeon. Not only that, there were also news reports specifically about the sensitive issues of the world at this moment. The Deep Sea Dungeon, which had once been my playground when I was at a low level, according to information from the Taiji Guild, an SS-ranked dungeon, had been discovered at the Incheon port. I remember hearing news about the Deep Sea Dungeon being discovered near Incheon port. It was an SS-ranked dungeon, so surely no one had conquered it yet. All right, this is what I've been looking for. It seems Ethan has realized something. He softly spoke, and a sly smile suddenly appeared on his lips. He slowly added, "Even without old memories, you're still amazing. Thanks to you, I've managed to stay sane." The words Ethan just said left the other person so shocked they forgot to cry, but before she could respond, he hurriedly asserted, "I will definitely save Ariam, just stay calm and wait here." Not knowing what had happened, in the blink of an eye, a blinding light appeared before Sora. She was stunned, thinking to herself, "What the hell him?" Ethan wasn't usually this reckless. But why do I feel this sense of familiarity? In just a few short seconds, Ethan had reached Ariam's hospital bed, leaving the nurses standing there in shock. They were horrified, moving toward him, continuously questioning and warning, "What's going on? Don't do that." Yet Ethan remained calm, extending his hand toward Ariam. He cautiously spoke, "I'm sorry for doing this while you're sick." Now on his cold face, only patience and determination remained. "We'll get there soon." Just a moment later, Ethan had scooped Ariam up, shocking everyone around. They hurriedly called out, "What are you doing?" "Stop." A nurse panicked to the point of gaping loudly, reminding him, "This is the 10th floor." As soon as he finished speaking, the doctor across from him calmly replied, "I know." In a moment of hesitation, he took Ariam and jumped from the highest floor of the Giga Hospital. Below, Ethan successfully landed on a car driving on the main road. However, the motorist behind was stunned, exclaiming, "What the hell?" Even the car owner had to peek out. He angrily questioned, "Are you crazy? Is your head all right?" However, Ethan didn't care about him at all. He turned back coldly, reminding the young motorist, "Remember this license plate 01, not X6X40. These vague words made the guy furious, questioning back, "What nonsense are you talking about, you lunatic?" Ethan, holding Ariam tightly with one arm, used the other to shove the motorcyclist back. In an instant, his steady voice rang out, "That's my number. Call me if anything happens later, and I'll compensate you." Not forgetting to remind, "Put on a helmet." He gently added, "Here, put this on. Come on, Ariel, wake up." The moment the engine roared to life, she tightly hugged Ethan, surprising him a bit. Nevertheless, he revved the engine and sped forward, leaving behind a trail of white smoke. The white dust quickly faded, and in just a few short seconds, Ethan's figure began to blur in the distance. The green trees were being carefully tended to with water. The one doing this was a young man with a large scar on his face, exactly hot. He murmured, "Can I help you with anything?" Suddenly, a wheelchair was pushed over to him, and the person in the wheelchair coldly spoke, "It's break time right now." The one who said this was Kim Eon-tong. He indicated, "Handle this for me." He glanced at Hot and began to speak. "You must catch that bastard. He's the one who put me in this situation. Do you have anyone with higher skills?" "This guy." He tore apart a titanium safe with his bare hands. As soon as the words fell, Hot calmly said, "Sorry." A sly smile now appeared on his face. "The cost of working during break doubles." Hat still calmly completed what he liked. "If you want me to work, you have to pay." Suddenly, Kim Eon-tong questioned back, "Why do you have to be so rigid?" At the same time right now, at the Taiji Guild in Seoul, in Building L, a sweet voice keeps echoing, "Come on, sing like brothers." And yet, there are still so many complicated procedures. I've contributed over 10 billion won to Tagook already. Let's relax a bit with our brothers. Especially in tough times like these, but as soon as he finished singing, he shot a cold glance at him and softly said, "Sorry, I don't agree with this nonsense." Just with this simple statement, he managed to leave Kim Jong-ton stunned very quickly afterward. He regained his composure and cleverly confessed, "Sorry, I was in a hurry," then suddenly pulled out a phone from his pocket and said to the other end, "Is this Inchinport? What's going on?" The other party hurriedly reported, "There's trouble," and the words from the other side made him greet, "There's a guy causing a ruckus here." He coldly ordered, "Get to the point." The young man with a buzz cut took shaky steps forward, speaking as he went, "That guy brought a woman and threatened to kill everyone. If that woman isn't treated immediately, we've summoned 30 people from Inchin to take him down, but although the situation is somewhat lengthy, in the end he just asked if he lost." As soon as those words fell, the image of a monster with blood-red eyes appeared in the young man's mind, and he hesitantly spoke up. His power is terrifying. He didn't care about these things. He hurriedly asked, "What about the damage?" Right now, at the SS gate of Incheon Port, the young man with a buzz cut cautiously observed everything around before reporting, "No casualties, but everyone is injured." The strange thing is, he forced our healer to recover for the woman. The painful images he just witnessed kept flooding back into his mind, making his voice tremble with fear. But no matter what, her vitality couldn't rise above 5%, so all the healers had fainted from exhaustion. Suddenly, he interrupted, "We have also controlled that dungeon." As soon as he finished speaking, the young man with a buzz cut remembered the terrified look of the guy saying, "Before entering the dungeon, he took all the best equipment we had. Like a thug." Hearing this, he suddenly asked, "Do you remember what he looked like?" Hearing his words, he quickly recounted, he even took the guild's armor. He looked about 30 with spiky red hair, and the woman had blonde hair around 20. As soon as he heard that, he was shocked and exclaimed, "Spiky red hair." Before he could finish, the person on the other end confirmed, "That's right, spiky red hair, that bastard." In an instant, he quickly concluded, "It seems both incidents are the same person." Just like that. The corners of his mouth curled into a provocative smile. "Now I want to see the face of that scoundrel." The atmosphere between the two suddenly became unusually quiet, but very quickly afterward, he took the initiative to speak up. "Listen here, Chris." Upon hearing this, Kim Eon-tong behind him became agitated. He shouted in horror, "Chris!" A thought quickly flashed through his mind. A globally famous assassin belonging to the powerful player guild of Tawdry That Big. Even so, he still didn't care about Kim Eon-tong. He coldly ordered Chris, "The location is an SS dungeon." In the western sea of Incheon, these words caused the other person to fall into a moment of contemplation. The target was a man with red hair while Chris sat on a high platform. He gently asked back, "Is there only one target?" Suddenly, a man with a mohawk opened fire. And not only that, he shouted loudly, "Die, you heretic!" The harsh sounds echoed through the phone. This made Chris doubtfully ask, "Busy, huh? Let me call you back later in the meantime." The man with the chicken-colored hair joyfully shouted, "Look at my great master, I've won." But just as Chris spoke, his body was split in half in an instant. "What are you busy with? I'm getting bored and about to die here." As soon as he finished speaking, he gently sheathed the knife into the man with the chicken-colored hair who had now been cut in two. His tragic screams echoed throughout the space as he fell to the hard ground. Chris, amused, said, "I want to fight someone as strong as you." Just as those words dropped, the opponent on the other end of the line mocked, "Still the same, huh? Hello, Chris." Suddenly, Chris stood still and quietly asked, "If you're calling me out of the blue like this, there must be some juicy news, right? Isn't that right, Chris? The #1 ranked assassin. This sounds interesting." The red-haired guy's face turned vague as he asked back, "Is he strong?" At that moment, deep in the Western Ocean at the SS Gate, a gigantic shrimp was thrashing about furiously. It was precisely the deep-sea boxing machine. The radioactive shrimp, a B-class monster of the sea, had frightened Ariel immensely, causing her to involuntarily scream, "So scary!" However, Ethan cautiously assessed the situation in front of him. He thought to himself, if we grilled these with salt and chili, it would be delicious. Suddenly, the gigantic claw of the radioactive shrimp descended toward them in the blink of an eye. Ariel, terrified, shut her eyes tight, her horrified screams enveloping the entire space, but the god of medicine successfully halted the radioactive shrimp's action. He gently spoke to comfort the opponent. "It's okay." His sudden action made the opponent widen their eyes, and they kept making a pitiful face. At this moment, because Ariel was holding Ethan's hand tightly, he also felt embarrassed. Right after that, he stammered, "Ariel, I didn't know it would be like this." In the blink of an eye, Ethan had thrown the radioactive shrimp back. As it lay motionless on the ground, Ariel excitedly walked over to Ethan, constantly praising him. "You're amazing!" As soon as she finished speaking, he coldly replied, "It's nothing." Suddenly, his voice tinged with embarrassment rang out, "Could you let go of my hand?" This made Ariel awkwardly ask back, "Huh?" She quickly realized her overzealous behavior. "Sorry, I was just so startled." The god of medicine didn't mention this anymore, and he quickly stepped inside. "But hey, why apologize? We're almost to the boss's room." "But about what you said earlier." The scene before Ariel left her stunned, and she involuntarily spoke up. "Huh, what did you say? You also said I was different back then." These words successfully caught Ethan's attention. "So what kind of person were you in the past?" The smile on her face grew brighter, which made him a bit flustered as he stammered, "Oh, well, Ariel, back then." Just a moment later, Ethan decided he wouldn't wait for others to protect him, and would instead protect others. Still, Ariel hazily asked back, "Oh, me?" Images from the past flooded Ethan's mind like a slow-motion movie. He expressed his dissatisfaction. "Really? You used to be very quiet, didn't you? So did you ever protect me?" "There were a couple of times." Just a moment later, Ethan made the decision not to wait for someone else to protect him, and instead he would go protect others. Still, Ariel hazily asked, "Oh, what about me?" Images from the past flooded Ethan's mind like a slow-motion movie. He felt frustrated and suddenly said, "Wow, you've always been so quiet, haven't you? So, have you ever protected me?" "Well, a couple of times." Yet the other party kept asking, "But this doctor, he hasn't forgotten to tell me since I left the hospital and came here." "I'm still wondering why you saved me. When someone protects others, why would they need a reason to value their own life?" "Stop crying already. Why is this doctor so nice to me?" The image of Ethan crying uncontrollably flashed in Ariam's mind, making her exclaim that he had spent so much effort to help her and yet he was still crying. What the hell is this? Just saved one life and already crying like a baby. And there's a part of the past that I can't remember. Thank you so much. Maybe I understand now why you try so hard. Thinking of this. She smiled brightly at the doctor and asked, "I think I used to like you, right?" Now he was blushing. Even his voice was stammering. "What?" Ariel suddenly spoke up. "Do you like me?" A little crab slowly crawled across that stiff atmosphere. This question made the doctor freeze in confusion. He silently screamed in his mind, "I'm doomed." "Do I like you?" "Well, yes, but it's been a long time." "How should I answer that?" The doctor quickly changed the subject. "Look at this crab, it's a distraction." Then he happily picked up the little crab. "You don't see these often. Look at this crab, it's really strange." Immediately the doctor smiled and turned around. "If you press its belly, it will emit a golden light. That's why everyone calls it a lantern crab." The scene after that made him hold the beautiful girl. Ethan hurriedly walked over to her. "Ariam, wake up." A moment later on the other side of the mysterious door, Ariam's face showed signs of fatigue as she gradually opened her eyes. At that moment, Ethan quickly asked, "Are you okay, Ariam?" Ariam weakly looked up. "What can I do with this weak body?" Hearing that, he immediately reassured her, "Don't say that. You will definitely get through this. The boss is right in front. We're almost there." That statement made her full of questions about the boss. However, Ethan just handed her a sword. "Take this. It's a rare sword with an attack power of 47 and intellect +5 equipment requirement level 10. It has a special feature that deals an extra 50% damage to water attribute monsters with a 5% chance to activate a lightning strike skill with each critical hit capable of slaying giants. It has a 35% chance to deal double damage to medium and large monsters." But Ariam was confused. "I have to use this to go back." Then he immediately denied it. "No, Ariam, you have to fight." She quickly replied, "What?" But Ethan slowly explained further, "In this dungeon. To defeat the SS boss, you have to fight it alone." Ariel's voice trembled. "What alone? I can't possibly fight an SS boss." She panicked and refused. "No way. You saw it earlier. You were scared of just a crab. How could I even imagine how strong an SS monster is, let alone defeat it?" But the doctor still replied firmly, "It has to be this way." His gaze was resolute. "If not, you will die." Ariel, the doctor, calmly explained, "We don't have much time left. You know your own condition." That statement left Ariam speechless. "How can you be so certain?" Ethan acted as if he knew the future, responding coolly that explaining now wouldn't help at all. Just trust him. A crystal gradually appeared, the hidden reward of this dungeon, a vial of potion capable of removing all negative states and restoring the user. In terms of the healthiest state, this is the strongest recovery item in Lucid Adventure, capable of nullifying even the curses of the gods, with the only drawback being that it is bound to the one who receives it, and it cannot be traded further. It can only be used on oneself. Ethan frowned and gently advised on how to obtain that item. "You have to face the boss on this trip by yourself. Only you can save yourself." Ariam was slowly calculating, realizing that this was practically impossible. Right, for a newbie like you to take on an SS-ranked boss alone. Hearing that, he immediately rebutted impossible means the chance of success is 0. If you follow my plan, the chance will be 1%. Difficult and impossible are two completely different things. Those words left Ariel stunned. 1%, really? Ethan quickly replied, "It's not some ridiculous 1%, it's my 1%. Seeing her hesitate, he gently reminded her, "Why worry? 1% is super simple." He confidently pointed to himself, the motto of a gambler. "Just trust and follow my words." Finally, she accepted. "All right, let me try. I trust you." The healer cheerfully said, "Listen carefully. Be careful not to mix things up." Right after entering the boss room, Ariam immediately spoke up. "I'm ready." He immediately explained that the one who opens the boss room will be the one to receive the reward. "Go ahead and open it." Ariam gently placed her hand on the door of the deep sea dungeon system. Entering the boss room, the lair of the deep sea witch, the player opened the door. Ariam also sensed it. It felt like something incredibly heavy was pressing down on her body. The scene before her made her doubt, "Can I really do this?" In her heart, Ariel reassured herself. The healer said there were many eggs in here, but seeing it with her own eyes was truly disgusting. The healer behind her encouraged, "Stay calm." She obediently replied, "Yes." The bizarre creature gradually appeared before her. The information panel quickly popped up, "Deep Sea Witch Boss." The witch stared at the challenger and immediately provoked, "Is that all you've got?" Octonus smiled slightly. "Just the two of you." She immediately remarked, "I don't know if it's because you got lost or you're too overconfident, but since you've made it this far, it must be fate." The cursed deep sea witch, Octonast, an SS-ranked boss, a fallen mermaid who once loved a human. When her love was unjustly murdered by her kin, the mermaid vowed to take revenge, even if it meant relying on the power of the Queen of Vengeance, and your lives will be the price to pay. Octonus quickly commanded her sisters. As soon as the words fell, she cast her magic. "It's time to wake up." Ariel felt a bit anxious. It was exactly as Ethan had described. Ethan quickly commanded, "Attack." Then she immediately slashed straight into the swarm of monsters. The witch's sisters gradually appeared. The deep sea witch's entourage, A-ranked sea warrior monsters. The pufferfish armored troops. The pufferfish tightly held their spears, shouting, "All for our queen, Octonast." Seeing this, Ethan told Ariam to stay back until he signaled. Ariam nervously gripped her sword. Yes. He thought to himself, all right, let's do this. Ethan focused on calculating the strategy. Ariam's current level was 15, and with this condition, she couldn't possibly deal any damage. It just couldn't happen. Even if it's just a scratch on the deep sea witch, her plan is to level her up to 40 right in this boss room and unlock the ability to defeat the hidden monster. This will give a ton of experience points, so it's totally doable. The three sisters quickly rushed in, but he remained incredibly calm. The first condition to summon the hidden monster. First, the poison from the pufferfish. Second, the claws of the seahorse. Third, the whip of the electric eel, taking the attacks from all three sisters at once. The condition to summon the monster is to endure the active skills of all three sisters at the same time. Ariam stared in amazement at Ethan. Everything unfolded just as he said. But even so, could he really withstand the three mermaid sisters who were staring ahead in shock? Why was he smirking and stepping forward, thinking to himself just like back in the day when he was a newbie dying countless times right here? Their attack methods haven't changed at all. If the game plays out like Lucid Adventure, then someone who knows every detail of Lucid Adventure, it's like I'm some kind of prophet. My earlier prediction of 1% must have shot up to 30% by now. He barely took any damage at all. He was pumped up with excitement, feeling the electric eel's sting as if he couldn't believe it, shouting that our attacks had no effect. The pufferfish and seahorse were equally surprised. They couldn't deal any damage. At that moment, Ethan shot up with his fist, the second condition to summon the hidden monster. He moved like a bullet, delivering a punch to each mermaid's face like a vengeful spirit. In the blink of an eye, all three sisters had collapsed. He grinned, marveling at his own strength. The condition to summon the hidden monster is to endure the active skills of all three sisters at once. Poor them. Ariam stood behind wide-eyed, unable to believe he defeated them all in an instant, while Ethan pursed his lips, stating the third condition to do nothing at all. After defeating the three sisters, the pufferfish on the ground began to cry, weakly pleading for the youngest sister to take revenge for them, a tear from her falling into the large bag containing the hidden monster. If a single tear filled with hatred from the youngest sister touches that creature, the condition to summon the hidden monster is to endure the active skills of all three sisters at once. Poor them. The three passed on their dying words filled with resentment to the youngest sister. Immediately, something in that bag stirred. A powerful force emanated from within, seeming ready to burst forth. The energy released, the youngest and strongest sibling would be awakened. A fiery red arm with sharp claws reached out from inside. The hidden monster was about to reveal itself, its eyes shining brightly, its face looking quite fierce. He was not panicked at all. On the contrary, he seemed to be quite looking forward to the information he was about to monopolize. Back when he was still a newbie, the hidden monster, the youngest and strongest, would give more experience than all three sisters combined. Specifically, it was 20 times more. Finally, the monster completely broke free from its cocoon, letting out a deafening scream. The youngest and strongest was a cute little monster, a rank S creature, a deep-sea warrior, a pure whale. Ethan smirked confidently and excitedly. Even though it was a low-level monster, its strength stat was over 900, and its difficulty was 20 times higher than the three sisters. In the next moment, the cute little monster gritted its teeth, raising its fist high, ready to smash the ground with a hoarse voice filled with extreme anger. "How dare you bully my sisters?" Meanwhile, Ethan had picked up Ariam and jumped onto the mermaid's egg bags, his voice full of provocation ringing out. This immediately caught Pong Pong's attention. He casually picked his nose and added, "But do you know the secret of how you were born?" She growled in confusion as he pulled out a booger, his face showing clear disdain and mockery, saying, "It's because you're a rotten egg. Just look at your sisters. Why is it only you who look so ugly?" Pong Pong was driven mad by his words, her eyes rolling back in disbelief as she screamed in rebuttal. "Both Mom and Dad said that when I grow up, I will be as beautiful as my sisters." He looked at her, who was going crazy like that. Calmly, he retorted, "That's probably because your old man didn't want to upset you." Pong Pong, unwilling to believe that was the truth, swung her fist toward him. "Shut your mouth. The ugly face of hers is filled with silent resentment. Keep that filthy mouth of yours shut while I dodge her punch, using a sincere tone to continue taunting her. I'm serious, I heard it straight from your old hag's mouth. The relentless attacks from Bong Bong forced me to keep retreating. These punches still pack a punch, just like I remember from my newbie days when it killed me 10 times. But now that's just a memory. Every time she throws a punch, I manage to dodge it. My gaze is fixed on Bong Bong, my heart screaming, "Yes, just keep charging at me." Suddenly, I grin slyly. Just as planned, leading to the finishing blow, I say to her, "Hey sis, calm down for a second. Look at what you have in your hand." My words make Bong Bong freeze in surprise. In her hand is a stream of bright red liquid like blood. I raise both hands as if to taunt her. During the attack, she accidentally smashed the other egg sacs. "Isn't that your family and friends?" I laugh gleefully, playing with Bong Bong's psyche. "How could you be so cruel? It's you, no one else." She trembles all over, tears of anguish streaming down her face. "What? It's my fault." She clutches her head, crying out, and those tears instantly turn into pearls. "What have I done?" At this moment, she is like a child filled with regret. My parents, everyone has been crushed. It's all Bong Bong's fault. While she was distracted, Ariel swiftly slashed at her, and her eyes rolled back as she let out a scream of pain that could shake the ground. Ariel aimed for Bong Bong's neck, hoping to take her down in one blow. Her face was tense. Ariel bit her lip, thinking, did he really see the future? Everything unfolded just as he said, slit her throat while she was crying. Just one cut and she's done for. I can really take down a terrifying monster like that. With just one blow, Bong Bong's face contorted, bloodshot eyes flaring up. In the next moment, she charged at Ariel, her teeth clenched in disbelief that she was still alive. The cut on her neck couldn't stop her. She used all her remaining strength to try to drag Ariel down with her, activating the lightning strike effect. But at the last moment, Bong Bong suddenly halted. Ariel stood frozen in place, her pupils wide as she looked at her. Before she could strike, she was exhausted and fell down. Ariel panicked and stepped back. "She's down." Ethan sighed in relief. "That's right." So far, everything has gone smoothly. The display board immediately showed that the hidden monster had been defeated. You received 254,677 experience points. The system leveled up. Seeing the number on it, Ariel was utterly astonished and exclaimed, "I leveled up this much." The content on the display changed. "You have reached level 40. You can now change your class." After reading it, she couldn't believe it even more. Leveling up to 40 after defeating a monster and getting a class change too. The system sent another notification. The Columbus trait has been unlocked. She looked up, murmuring the Columbus trait. Ethan smirked, thinking, that's right, her old trait has been unlocked. Finally, we can go back. Let's continue with the main quest then. Meanwhile, Ariel was both surprised and delighted, exclaiming that there was even a new skill. Just a moment later, Ethan felt a bit startled and turned back to face the boss. It was at this moment that he noticed the sound of footsteps. Adana stretched and slowly walked toward them. Can you really hold on until now? You two are really different from those who came before you. Do you know that? Ethan looked straight at her and replied, of course it's different. That octopus head is an old veteran who's cleared this dungeon 1,000 times. Atanas looked back at him, her eyes deep like the ocean, and she smiled softly, saying, all right then. I will turn both of you into mermaids and lock you up here. The spot for the mermaids that were just killed is indeed a perfect choice. Ethan still kept his gaze forward, but spoke to Ariam, who was standing behind him. Are you ready? She gripped the sword tightly and confidently replied, yes. In his mind, he had already calculated Ariam's characteristics. The Columbus Santa Maria battleship boosts damage by 100% when fighting underwater. This is an underwater dungeon, so it will definitely be effective. Besides that, the cannon also increases damage by 100% against boss monsters. With such overwhelming damage, even Atanas would be finished. So far, everything is going as planned. Atanas stared intently at the two, her tone full of delight. Which one should we curse first? Which one should we choose? She lunged forward like a bolt of lightning, closing in on them in an instant. The next moment, Ethan turned back and shouted loudly to remind Ariam, Ariam, use your skill now. She nervously replied, yes, but her mind was in chaos, wondering how. Meanwhile, Atanas was almost close enough to Ethan to use her skill. Seeing this, Ariam felt increasingly heavy. It wasn't as simple as just pressing a button like in a game. By reaching out and thinking of that skill, she suddenly felt something change. I can do it. It seemed like she had succeeded. But then the system displayed a warning, system error, unable to use skill. Immediately, Ariam felt helpless. No. On Ethan's side, he had been stabbed directly by Atanis. The corner of her mouth curled up in smug satisfaction as Ethan immediately coughed up blood. He gritted his teeth, thinking, damn it, she can't use her skill. Just like in the game, Ariam was horrified and screamed, Ethan! The octopus lunged at Ethan, piercing through his abdomen. Ariam witnessed this scene and screamed, no. The octopus, with a sinister look, smirked. Oh, so you're still alive, huh? Ethan looked at the sword in his chest, feeling furious. Atanis had guessed his mood, and that expression of hers didn't look like someone who was being turned into a donut at all. Realizing that this girl was my target, he rushed out to take the hit for Atanis, feeling puzzled by Ethan's actions. Without any hesitation or resistance, he did so. This action proved that he tightened his hand, silently questioning himself. He didn't want to inflict any harm on her at all. The opportunity was so favorable, yet he still didn't counterattack. Atanis sensed Ethan's strength. This guy was very strong. However, he kept his hand in front of Ethan's chest without pulling it out. Just a lowly human dares to underestimate me to this extent. How infuriating. Ethan could only remain silent, enduring it, while silently cursing, take it easy, you octopus head. Suddenly, he erupted with power, letting out a loud roar. A plume of purple smoke rose from him, emanating from Ethan's very own body. He widened his eyes and clenched his teeth. It was infuriating. Ethan could only stay silent, enduring it, while quietly cursing, come on, ease up a bit, you little octopus head. Suddenly, he unleashed his power, shouting loudly as a plume of purple smoke rose up. That smoke emanated from Ethan's very own body, his eyes wide open, teeth clenched. But the smoke still escaped from his mouth. At that moment, questions kept swirling in Ariel's mind about what made Ethan feel more uncomfortable than enduring the full brunt of the creature's attack. The crux of the matter was that his plan had completely fallen apart, despite being someone who understood lucid adventure in a world fully assimilated with the game. Although he had faced many dangers, this was the first time Ethan encountered such a perplexing problem. He couldn't know whether the previous mechanisms of lucid adventure would operate differently in reality or not. Moreover, the system further explained that the difference between using skills in the game and in reality was quite simple. You just had to think about using them, and the skills would activate automatically. But in reality, it was different. In some cases, you wouldn't be able to use the skills you just acquired. One of those was the manifestation magic, which required an extremely high level of skill awareness. So when Ariel saw Ethan like that, she just widened her eyes and stared. So for a girl who had just activated her abilities, wanting to use Santa Maria immediately was like asking a newborn to solve calculus problems. The octopus in her heart felt heartbroken for Ethan. Oh, how pitiful. With a heart pierced and a charred body, she wore a sinister smile and made a decision. Yet he still wasn't dead. If he doesn't die, then he's my pawn. As for the young man, he could only accept that. Frustrated, he lay still, and as for the young man, if he wanted to, he could easily knock the head off this octopus, but he was powerless. Because the demands of this mission were extremely strict, while Ariel fought the monster, he could only watch, not dealing any damage to the boss, which was 43,356. Suppose Ariel fought one-on-one with the boss and defeated it, then what? The total damage she inflicted on the monster would be immense. Ariel dealt most of the damage, while Ethan just stood by, watching the battle unfold. And accidentally sneezing at the boss, even that little damage was enough to say goodbye to the hidden reward, but he had caused a small amount of damage to the monster. Just by standing there, watching even a single point of damage from him made the hidden reward completely disappear. That's why Ethan didn't defend or counterattack until Octonus was defeated. He even imagined the scenario of holding Octonus for Ariel. He knew revenge wouldn't be easy, but still he couldn't hold back his frustration. He was holding it for the slaughter to die. Just that thought made him so angry he trembled, secretly thinking he had to hit it once. Ariel from afar saw Ethan being knocked down by Octonus and felt for him. Ethan was severely injured. She widened her eyes, but her whole body trembled, feeling doubtful that it couldn't be. I have to defeat that terrifying monster. Before Ariel was the scene of Octonus piercing through Ethan, she widened her eyes, thinking of a plan. Even if she could use her skills killing, it was impossible. Octonus still wouldn't let Ethan go, mocking him with resilience. "I like you," she smiled smugly, demanding Ethan to become my pet now. Seeing this situation, Ethan felt uneasy. Everything was happening too fast. The battle had already entered phase 2. Octonus had aimed for his body, continuing to taunt him. "No matter how stubborn you are, your organs and brain are just flesh and blood, right? This is too dangerous. Isn't my child adorable?" Bringing the octopus right in front of Ethan to threaten him. This little one is very good at brainwashing. The octopus, with its dangerous gaze, revealed that it would dig deep into your brain and spit out a special kind of magic. Moreover, it also informed Ethan about how the brainwashing octopus operates. "Hey, you mermaids over there. At first, they didn't think much of me, but in this way, they eventually became my slaves and completely obeyed my commands." Ethan widened his eyes as he watched the brainwashing octopus moving across his face, feeling a deep sense of disgust he couldn't bear. And this brainwashing state is incredibly hard to get rid of. The brainwashing octopus continued to crawl up his face, and Ethan realized that Lao Tzu's plan had gone horribly wrong. The brainwashing octopus quickly moved from Ethan's nose into his head, invading his brain, causing him to scream in pain. At that moment, the system also announced that Ethan's mind was under attack by the brainwashing octopus, and he had become immobilized. Ariam, witnessing the scene, felt utterly helpless. Now, small bubbles were forming on Ethan's face, and the system reported that the brainwashing octopus skill had activated, putting the target into a state of incubation. After the transformation process reached 100%, the target's race would change to Chimera. Ethan was trapped inside a large bubble as the transformation process was underway. Ariam couldn't take it anymore and charged forward. She rushed in front of Octan, wanting to attack her. Octan didn't even react, just stood still, glancing at Ariam. With a light flick, she sent Ariam flying away, scolding her for being trash. Octan's strike made Ariam crash to the ground, her body covered in injuries. She seemed seriously hurt and was terrified of Octan's terrifying power. Nevertheless, Ariam remained determined, pushing her fear aside. "I have to save Ethan." She stepped forward and kicked Octan right in the stomach. Octan approached, mocking Ariam. "Are you scared now?" Despite the pain, Ariam tried to endure it all. Yet Octan once again pulled out a brainwashing octopus, still not willing to back down. The octopus moved down to Ariam's face, crawling towards her eye. Octan was delighted, wanting to see her in pain. "Just give in and you won't have to suffer anymore." But the brainwashing octopus was crushed, much to her confusion. It turned out Ariam had bitten the brainwashing octopus to pieces. Oknath was somewhat angered by her reckless act. Ariam spat the remains of the brainwashing octopus out of her mouth. She regained her confident demeanor, scolding Oknath for the disgusting thing. Octan didn't seem pleased to see her doing that to her child. "Well then, let's transform again." Another small monster threatened Ariam, then die. Overwhelmed by pain and fear, a giant bomb octopus pinned Ariam to the ground. "The bomb octopus, one of my children, will merge with your emotions. The more frightened you are, the faster the fuse will burn." The fuse on the bomb octopus was burning rapidly, and Ariam's eyes couldn't hide her anger upon seeing it. "If that bomb explodes, I'll be done for." Ariam was left behind as Octan approached where Ethan was being held. Octan glanced back at her with a smirk. "Oh, I bet you're really scared now, huh? It's about to blow." Ariam was pinned to the ground, gradually succumbing to fear. It was too hot and incredibly terrifying. Her hand holding the sword trembled, unable to move. "If I move, it will explode." Ariam was now blaming herself for being so pathetic. She remembered the time when she had saved Ethan and mocked herself. "Isn't it ridiculous? I used to save his life." At this moment, she felt like crying out in despair. "I told you. I'm so cowardly. The master is in danger." But she still thought about Ethan. Right now, Ariam was thinking about Ethan even though she didn't know how to resolve it. But in the moment when she felt so close to death, Ariam remembered the time they fought side by side. The one who had awakened her, the one who made her heart beat again. The person who made me feel less lonely. She remembers the moment Ethan stood in front of her and spoke, "There's one more thing I want to say." Yes, at that moment, he sincerely advised Ariel, never give up. Moreover, Ethan confidently assured her that this time he would definitely save her. She couldn't give up. Ariel was really eager to know the answer to her current dilemma. That feeling of happiness always came with loneliness, and she wanted to understand why she felt happy before. She felt happy again. The octopus bomb on her was almost ready to explode, and whoever was sitting on top of it was also close to touching the bomb. I had done what Ariam had gathered strength for. The sword was ready to counterattack a small wave rising in her heart, with determined eyes, wanting to escape this bomb. Seizing the opportunity, Ariam swung the sword, slicing through the top of the bomb, the fuse on top extinguished after that strike. Success. Ariel was truly delighted to realize she knew how to use her skills now. She charged straight down, continuously slashing at the octopus bomb, causing it to shatter. Octonus, hearing the commotion, turned back to look. Just smiled now, hinting at Ariam. "You fool, do you think the fuse is just for decoration?" What Octonast revealed turned Ariam to stone. We could detonate it whenever we wanted. Instantly, the octopus bomb behind her exploded. Like this. With the pressure of the bomb, Ariam was blown away. The power of that bomb was so terrifying it charred her body, sending her flying in front of Octonus. Oknathan took the chance to mock her. "What a naive little girl! If you hadn't cut the fuse of the octopus bomb, you might have lived a few more seconds." Right at that moment, the balloon Ethan had was moving. Oknathan quickly turned around to observe that balloon. Is it about to burst? Ethan's arm broke through the balloon and reached out to see his achievement. Octonas, satisfied, exclaimed, "Well done, Ariam." But she quickly noticed something strange here. Thinking to herself, the brainwashing failed. How could that be? Ariam was charred black, now placing all hope in Ethan. Now it was his turn to show off, "Just watch," and see the definition of support. Ethan's arm began to use the resurrection skill. Witnessing that scene left Octonus feeling suspicious. Was that resurrection magic? He was a healer, and at Ethan's command, he flew to Ariam. The angel used her power to heal Ariam, who was charred black. The system also announced, "The adverse status has been removed, stamina has been fully restored, and power has been restored by 30%. The angels flew around Ariam, continuing to use their skills to bless her. Blessing effect for 30 seconds after resurrection movement, speed increased by 10%. And Ariam's body was completely healed. Someone called Octonast a not-so-nice name. This made her furious. "You little octopus head." At that moment, Ethan broke through the balloon and stepped out, declaring to her, "Feeling a headache now, huh? Remember my words, you will be cut to pieces by Ariam." After being healed, Ariam couldn't believe how she could recover so quickly. "What's going on?" "I'm completely healed, Ethan. What did you do?" Ethan smiled triumphantly and shouted, "It's all thanks to you, Ariam. How did you manage to break the brainwashing and resurrect?" Ariam returned to the moment when Ethan was still in that brainwashing balloon. Then Ethan flashed a triumphant smile and shouted, "It's all thanks to you, Ariam. How did you manage that?" Ariam broke free from the brainwashing state and revived, returning to the moment when Ethan was still trapped in that brainwashing bubble. To understand, we need to look back a bit into the past. While the brainwashing process was happening, the system was notifying him. He received 2,075 experience points from the unexpected team action of Ariel, which helped Ethan level up to level 41. He gained experience points and leveled up after the Ariam. The bomb/effect from the octopus was removed due to the effects of the 7th job class, and the brainwashing process was eliminated. The special effects of the 7th job class were cleared, making him feel refreshed and clean. After leveling up, you will be cleansed of any negative states. The brainwashing and host have been removed, and from that point, Ethan not only leveled up, but also gained a new skill. The special passive skill system of the 7th job class activates a unique additional skill. After reaching a certain level, you will be able to choose a temporary job class. Current level requirement 1-on-1. Next level requirement 2. Fighter hourly wage 500 EXP. Engineer hourly wage 250 EXP. Priest hourly wage 1000 EXP. Knight hourly wage 3000 EXP. Warning. If you fail to complete the task, you will be fired, and a severe penalty will be enforced, so work hard. Upon receiving the new skill, it made the divine being smile confidently. He recalled the moment he received the hidden skill that had made him anxious. Now those hidden skills have been activated. The first skill of the unique 7th job class, the passive additional skill, has been activated. At this moment, the system also explained more details on how to use this type of skill. This additional skill will help you try out various job classes, or in other words, receive a temporary job class with all the skills of that class, corresponding to your current stats at that time when reading the information about this skill. It made him feel confused. The most notable point is that during the use of the temporary job class for additional skills, you will also gain experience points. Finally, when transitioning to the next job class, you can choose to retain one additional skill, ending the contract. This is a perfect feature for a warrior. Experienced in battle and very knowledgeable about the types of skills in the game, but through the bomb/action of the Arium, Ethan realized it was all thanks to her. It was thanks to that selfless act that Ethan gained points from her, because Arium was considered to have known the bomb octopus, so the experience points were shared with Ethan. If Arium had closed her eyes and accepted death, Ethan would never have leveled up. And from that point on, Ethan's choice now saved his life, and the first temporary job class he chose was perfectly suited to the current situation, Priest Hourly Wage 1000 EXP. Seeing the current situation, Octonus felt a bit of fear. The real danger was evident in her eyes, which couldn't hide her anger as she declared, "You have just escaped death." Octonast flew up in front of the two, warning them not to get cocky. She quickly summoned her baby octopuses, waking them up with many pink balls. The children of Octonus appeared right after her call. She summoned the monsters from the deep sea to confront the two, using magic to summon the deep sea army. Ariel, seeing the number of enemy troops, felt a bit intimidated. So many. But Ethan felt excited, having already guessed what was coming. In the final phase of the boss fight, Ariel saw the large number of monsters, and after hearing Ethan's words, felt a bit flustered. "We're almost there. As long as we take out all those monsters, it's done. Just me? If we kill them all." Ethan began to stretch his muscles, reassuring her not to be afraid. He was now ready to reveal to Arium, because the one supporting her was him. The system activated the additional task, and Ethan quickly used his new skill as a priest appeared behind him. Priest Hourly Wage 1000 EXP, the high-level healer, is here. Arium, sitting beside him, seemed puzzled. High-level healer. The energy Ethan is radiating right now is immense. He ordered Arium to open her mouth wide, "So I can stuff some corn in." He gathered his power and shot it straight ahead. That power now enveloped his body to support Arium, and the system received the blessing and enhancement from the priest. He gathered his strength and struck straight ahead, that power now enveloping his body to support Arium as the system received the blessing and enhancement from the pastor. All stats increased by 1% for a short time, and the system received a quick blessing from the pastor, with movement speed boosted by 2% in that brief moment. Right now, at that moment, the system blared with numerous notifications, causing Ariel to feel scared and scream, "Is this a bit too much? Wait, Ethan, something feels off. I'm feeling dizzy." Stop it, that's enough." Just then, the system issued a warning. The blessing system has exceeded the character's capacity. Ariel's status has changed to overdose. Losing 1% of total vitality per second, with a 44% chance of losing consciousness. All received blessings are unlimited. Ethan from behind wanted to know how Ariel felt. That's right. Have you tasted the thrill yet? Octonus over here isn't falling behind either. Quickly ordering the monsters to tear them apart, Ethan fully supported Ariel. How are you feeling now? Ariel had become stronger and more confident to face those monsters. Confident enough to switch to slaughter mode, right? Yes, the monsters are following Octonus's command and charging towards Ariel, their eyes emitting strange lights. They opened their mouths wide as if wanting to swallow her whole. Ariel, undeterred, gripped her sword tightly, ready to confront them. Damn it, I've gathered energy in my sword. Waiting for those monsters to approach, she struck first, but Octonus's skills were no less impressive. The ultimate skill of Octonus, the Deep Sea Legion, showed that these monsters had become very powerful this time. It was no different from hell on earth. A wave of monsters surged towards Ariel, all of them ranked A or higher. Even famous monsters from the deep sea appeared. The Loch Ness Monster, Nessie, and the Kraken from Iceland. Surely everyone has heard of them. At some point, those notorious names that dominate. With her own strength, Octonus had tamed all those monsters, possessing the Queen's trait that allowed her to command lower-ranked monsters at will. With this power, Octonus could tame any sea monster. From there, she built an army of hundreds of famous sea monsters to serve herself, but nothing comes for free. She had to sacrifice something. to obtain those monsters. However, gaining power meant making sacrifices to use this skill. Octonus had to sacrifice 9 of her 18 tentacles for the type of monsters that stored magic and vitality within their tentacles, which she only resorted to as a last resort. She was willing to sacrifice to conquer the monsters of the deep sea, her main purpose being to prove her absolute strength. In the battle with her father and the Dragon King, Sylvana Octonus used the Deep Sea Legion to completely destroy a dragon palace, leaving many people questioning. When Octonus used those powerful monsters to deal with the 2 individuals, was it really necessary to use such resources against mere humans? Outsiders might think so. Octonus seemed to sense something from the 2, but instinctively she felt that she had to shield herself against Ethan's latent power, which is why she summoned those monsters. This guy. It's even more terrifying than all the demon kings she's ever encountered. If she doesn't muster all her strength, she'll die. It's unclear why that creature isn't attacking, but this has made her think that she has a chance of winning. All she needs to do is kill this woman. Then that monster won't be able to attack anymore. Octonus seems relentless this time. She can't hesitate. Arium is just as determined, her eyes filled with the desire to win. Even if Octonus has strength down to the last fiber of his being, he won't be able to fully utilize it without combat experience. A sea monster like him is aging. He opens his mouth wide, wanting to swallow Arium whole. She's no longer afraid. This time she's much more confident because she has him, the divine healer, supporting her from behind. These monsters are nothing at all. Ariel grips her sword tightly, preparing to attack that monster. But then the sword slips from her hand. Arium's eyes widen as her heart screams. She looks up at the sword, sensing something ominous. The monster has opened its mouth wide, seemingly ready to swallow Arium whole. It bites her body in half, but suddenly that monster falls straight to the ground. The other monsters are also rushing down, one by one. They seem to be magnetically drawn, crazily diving headfirst into the ground. In their eyes, a dark image glimmers. Even the giant octopus is gradually being pulled in. It tries to cling on with its tentacles, but it seems there's an incredibly massive force beneath the ground, gradually absorbing the energy of the giant octopus. A gigantic monster opens its mouth wide, attacking the octopus below the ground. Everyone outside witnessing this scene feels anxious. What's happening? The gate can't possibly. The tremors from that gate are immense. Those outside are filled with doubt about the dungeon's outbreak. I've never witnessed anything bizarre happening in there before. I need to call for help right away. The system has also issued a warning to everyone. The damage caused exceeds the dungeon's capacity. The dungeon is collapsing. That gate is about to explode, causing the surface of the sea to tremble violently. The deep sea witch's ruby light has been completely destroyed, and at the same time, Octonaut laughs as the monster fish slowly appears. The dungeon system has appeared on Earth. Octonaut, the deep sea witch, quickly leaps out of the water. Octonaut punches from above, surveying the scene. Deep down, she wonders if she's entered their world. Now she realizes the scenery here belongs to those humans. Octonaut observes from above while the monster below stirs up the entire surface of the sea. After a moment of sensing, Octonaut thinks to herself that she can no longer feel them. Unbelievable. She can no longer sense humanity here. She's secretly overjoyed, thinking she's won thanks to her sea monsters. While she's lost in her victory, Ethan appears and teases her. Right, they're just weak humans. There's no way they could survive against our army. Wow, the smell of grilled fish is so delicious. He continues to tease, making Octonaut furious. Another plate of octopus sushi, and I'm done. She's so angry that she strikes at Ethan, but he just stands there casually picking his nose, waiting for her to charge at him. The octopus seems to go insane, wanting to tear him apart. As she lunges at him, Ethan widens his eyes. The octopus delivers a punch that pierces through his body. She glances back at Ethan's state. But with his agility, Ethan easily dodges the attack, landing a solid hit on this little fish. His agility is off the charts. My agility is off the charts. Octonus was now so furious that he was screaming at those damn humans. His long arm swung toward Ethan, but he narrowly dodged it, and the godlike figure rose high, gathering strength in his arm, declaring that he was no match for him. Moreover, he assured her that he wouldn't touch even a single hair on her head, but the god's attack was directly aimed at the sea. You will be destroyed, and your energy is diving straight down to the ocean floor. He shouted, Ariel! A foot emerged from beneath the rocks, signaling to Ethan. Octonus watched the scene unfold. Deep down, he felt worried, thinking he only had a few tentacles left. Damn it. Her eyes emitted a beam of light, as if communicating with something. It turned out that Octonus was signaling to command the monster lurking in the deep sea to swallow that wretched creature. Get that monster to quickly rush to where the light is coming from. It opened its mouth wide, wanting to devour Ariel once again. The mouth of that monster seemed to have reached the source of the light. But then a massive energy burst forth right beneath Ariel, and a white light instantly radiated from there. Ariel used her sword to slice the monster in half and escape. She shouted loudly, soaring straight up from the surface of the sea where something was rising. A monstrous fish leaped into the air, but within its body, it was being continuously sliced by some force. It quickly fell apart under Ariel's strikes, and she crawled out from the mouth of that monster. It wasn't even a sophisticated sword technique. With her sword in hand and a confident gaze, Ariel charged forward. It was just a clumsy swing of the sword, yet it concealed 800 points of power, which was more than enough to slaughter the monsters. Ariel swiftly swung her sword straight into the belly of Octonus, but he wasn't going to back down. She screamed and quickly countered, sending Ariel flying away. Ariel regained her balance and continued to charge. She gripped her sword tightly once more, ready to face Octonus again. Ariel regained her balance and charged forward again, gripping her sword tightly, ready to face Octonus once more. But the fire in Ariel's eyes was always burning bright, filled with determination, revealing her strength, while Octonus felt a wave of worry about this girl. She was still unfazed after her attack. This wasn't good. She had to rely on her tentacles. She was using all her power to unleash her tentacles, and these were the last ones she had left. The tentacles of Octonus stretched out, almost touching Ariel's eyes, but this time, her agility had improved. She ducked to dodge the attack while leaning back. Ariel stared intently at that tentacle, quickly turning her sword back around. With her sword in hand, Ariel charged forward like a bullet, slicing right into Octonus's tentacle, delivering multiple strikes. Her slashes left a long mark on the tentacle, and Ariel's eyes gleamed with a fierce hunger, as if she wanted to devour Octonus. Meanwhile, Octonus, struck by her attack, became furious, shouting, "You lowly creature!" One of her eyes now had many humans around it as Octonus unleashed her power. She transformed into a giant monster, declaring in this state, "I am the champion." Ariel was now being pressed down by Octonus's large tentacles, but she still tried to reassure herself, telling herself not to give up and to trust Ethan. Ethan, witnessing the scene from afar, had activated a new skill, Eternal Life. Ariel, being squeezed by the tentacles, received strength from him. Despite the pain, she opened her eyes wide, looking ahead. Memories flooded Ariel's mind, fueling her determination to survive. Octonus was still feeling triumphant as she held Ariel tight. Ariel was using her strength to slash at the tentacles. Finally, she succeeded. Breaking free from the grip, Octonus used her tentacles to create a swirling vortex, confidently declaring, "I will crush you." The tentacles of Octonus closed in, forming a whirlwind but carelessly, as if wanting to suck everything in Ethan after witnessing that scene. Smiled and spoke up, "I told you so." The energy from within the gaps of the tentacles reflected out, "As long as I'm here." Ethan wore a wicked smile, affirming that Ariel would not die. And so Ariel slashed those tentacles into pieces and broke free. Octonus, wounded by the slashes, cried out in pain, recalling a time when a young man had proposed to her. By the beach, Ariel recounted what she had seen to Ethan. "I just witnessed her memories the octopus's past." The system interface appeared before Ariel. It left her puzzled. What a delicious surprise. Just then the system announced, "The dungeon under the sea is complete. Progress, SSS. Achievement, SSS. Hidden reward, SSS. Successful." A treasure chest appeared. That was the reward. Ariel received the SSS grade treasure from the system. She also expressed her gratitude for Ethan's help. "It's all thanks to you, Ethan. I really appreciate it." Oh, Ethan was truly curious about what was inside the chest. Ariel, open it up. She simply smiled softly, her eyes warm, eagerly looking at the chest before her, while Ethan quietly stood by, observing. Ethan's heart suddenly felt like it was bursting with joy. His body trembled with happiness. "I've saved Ariel." Ethan's hands tightened around the book he held, trembling with excitement. There would be no more goodbyes. Ethan smiled, having saved Ariel. He gently grinned. The treasure's memories were radiating a massive light from the chest, revealing 3 new skills for Arium. The system had received a special experience potion, X, a treasure X, a deep-sea memory X, and Ethan. Those skills made him think, this is it. My calculations were spot on. Arium opened her eyes wide. Staring intently at the items before her, a potion contained in a shell sparkled. Arium held that potion in her hand, unable to help but exclaim, "It's so beautiful." Staring at the items in front of her, a shimmering potion contained in a shell. Arium held the potion in her hand and couldn't help but exclaim how beautiful it was. Yes, Ethan beside her also encouraged her to drink it. "You'll feel better." Ariel quickly agreed to his request, but she had one question: how should she drink it? Just follow Ethan's instructions. Ariel read the incantation activating the deep-sea memory item system that had been unlocked, and you can use the item. Ethan stood back, watching her drink the potion, anxiously waiting for what would happen next to Arium as the first drop from the potion slowly flowed to her lips. But suddenly the potion in her hand began to glow, and Arium seemed surprised by the sight before her, not understanding why the vial in her hand had vanished. Suddenly, the vial disappeared, and Ethan, witnessing this, frowned in anger. Chris had come to snatch the potion from Arium. "Oh, what's this?" I'm here on his orders, looking at the potion in my hand and mocking her. The goal is just to deal with this pathetic bunch, right? Annoyed Arium turned back with a confused look, while Ethan couldn't hide his anger and rushed forward wanting to attack Chris, ordering him to return it immediately. But Chris just smirked, thinking to himself, quick, just as it should be. This guy is strong, but Ethan's hand reached for the potion in his grasp. What? He smashed the vial in Chris's hand, and Chris, seeing this, sneered. Is this thing really that precious? It would be a shame if it broke, huh? Ethan's eyes widened, his heart worried. There wouldn't be another chance to get it back. Chris held the potion in his hand, threatening him. Just kidding, just kidding. But if you keep rushing in like that, I might just accidentally crush it. He knew this potion was very valuable to Ethan, so he used it to threaten him, knowing that Arium's life depended entirely on him. I have to choose my words carefully to lure this jerk. Ethan regained his composure and approached Chris to negotiate. What do you want, guess? He thought to himself, how much do you want? As soon as Chris spoke, it meant Ethan had guessed his intention correctly, but then his gaze turned sinister. With a single motion, Chris crushed the vial in his hand. Wrong. The liquid from the vial flowed down his hand, and he questioned Ethan. Do I look like a beggar craving a few coins? Chris no longer hid his intentions and revealed, what I want is your life, redhead. As Ethan was rushing in to attack Chris, he thought to himself that he had been too complacent, daring to follow him all the way here. This proved he was a subordinate of that jerk. To steal such a valuable item. This showed his thieving skills had reached a high level. Looking at him, in front of him, Ethan was calculating carefully in his mind, and he could keep up with his movements, which required a quick reflex of at least 999. Based on his movements, it's highly likely he's an assassin. Calm down now. He still had a bit of the potion left in his hand. Ethan thought of a perfect plan. If he could just swipe his hand away, maybe he could still save a few drops of the potion. Another vial appears in Chris's hand. He held it out in front of him, demanding slowly, the potion in your hand. Now he revealed, just kidding, just kidding. The thing I just squeezed from my wife was another vial that looked just like this one. Even though I wasn't too happy about it, the healer felt a bit more at ease. Are you kidding me? You jerk. Well, at least he's not completely insane, even if he acts like he needs to be careful. But he's still aiming for something. Is this thing really that valuable? Why would Chris risk making demands like this? Ethan was surprised to hear that. What's going on? With a confused expression at Chris's betting proposal, Ethan asked for confirmation once more. Is that really what you mean? To give him a chance to respond. Is he threatening again? Actually, I was just asking for fun. If you refuse, I'll crush this thing right away. Arium, who had been listening to everything from behind, advised Ethan not to take the risk. Ethan didn't know what conditions he would propose. What nonsense, but suddenly she spat out blood. Ethan turned back to witness that scene. He understood in his heart, damn it, Arium can't wait any longer. Chris couldn't wait any longer and kept urging for a quick decision. Are you in or not? He brought out the vial again to threaten, saying, my patience is limited, so let's smash this thing already. Ethan no longer hesitated and agreed with Chris. I agree, but I have to swear. Along with that, he also made a condition, if I win, you'll return that to Ariel. Chris, after hearing Ethan agree, looked a bit dazed. He revealed a wicked smile and replied, "No way." Chris couldn't hide his excitement and exclaimed, "What a bold move." "I like that." He quickly laid out the rules for the match, so let's fight according to traditional PK rules. Even though she was injured, Ariel tried to persuade Ethan, "Ethan, stop it. It's too dangerous. It looks so scary." The healer quickly reassured her, "Don't worry, Ariam." But he turned back with a smile, replying, "Everything will be fine." Seeing that face of the healer made Ariam feel a bit strange. "What's going on?" For a moment, the healer looked really scary. Ethan seemed very confident this time. Chris looked at him and spoke up. "Do you understand the PK rules?" He couldn't wait any longer and questioned, "What are you waiting for? Are we fighting or not?" Ethan suddenly turned around with a very puzzled expression. "If I win, will you really return that vial?" He kept asking questions, wanting Chris to explain how to place a bet. "I've never done PK before, being a pastor and all." Seeing Ethan's expression like that, it made Chris feel more confident inside. He thought to himself, it's just about jumping in and fighting. How can a pastor even PK with that face? He's definitely weak and soft, hiding behind others. Whatever I say, he'll probably believe it completely. But Chris flashed a wicked smile and started explaining about this match. This is a match with special rules, so there's no need to worry about real death. Since your role is to assist, all you need to do is fight us. Then it will count as a win. He has thought everything through. Perhaps he's considering that both sides have equal speed if he maintains his pace. In that case, I can keep up too. But speed isn't everything. Chris smiled, wanting to know Ethan's opinion on whether the conditions were fair enough. All the tricks he proposed were ones he had used before. Such slides have always been his method. Chris used them to gather points, and as a result, he has now risen to the top of the assassin rankings, all stemming from their first encounter. That Chris was defeated by someone else during a mission. He received an order from the player association to eliminate that person, but Chris was injured in the chest. Because he stepped on his wound, he started to cough up blood. A mysterious man suddenly appeared and threatened the power of the player association. His name was Hat. Hat, with a large scar on his face, questioned Chris about who sent him. He genuinely wanted to know the answer, and if Chris answered honestly, he would let him live. Oh, and additionally, Hat offered him a condition: he would pay him double the amount they were supposed to pay. Upon hearing that condition, Chris smiled self-deprecatingly, looking confident as he declared, "Do I look like a beggar, willing to betray for a few coins? That's too insulting." Chris seemed ready to embrace death. "Enough talk, just do it." Hearing those words from him, Hat thought for a long time and began to gather power in his arm. "You don't like money." Hat suddenly pulled his foot away from Chris. He presented his energy before Chris, questioning, "What about this?" Am I about to die?" Chris, after looking at the system board, felt very surprised. "You're not going to kill me with this." He looked at Hat with a determined gaze, questioning, "What is this if you don't like money?" Hat, looking down from above, proposed, "What about power?" Power. It turned out he had given Chris a new skill. If he possessed this skill, he would be able to reach the system's limit stats. "Do you want to accept the betting trait?" After turning away, Hat explained about this skill. The betting trait allows players who possess it to become gamblers, and through proper PK matches, you can seize your opponent's stat points. After hearing this, Chris seemed skeptical and shouted loudly, "Limit stats, nonsense, that's impossible. Do you think I'm a child?" He remained resolute in his initial intention. "You're my target. Don't expect me to believe you." Hat wanted to utilize this skill to give Chris a chance. Consider this as an advance payment. He glanced back at Chris and explained, "I decided to invest because I think you'll be useful later. Whether you use it or not is up to you, but if you've received power from it." Before leaving, Hat left a message for him. "I hope the next time we meet, you'll bring the head of the one who ordered you to kill me, 1 week from now." Chris appeared on the railing of a building. He threw down someone's head. H, upon seeing that head, seemed surprised. "Earlier than I thought." Chris, after acquiring the skill, had become ferocious. This is just the first one. From that day on, Chris became H's assassin. Returning to reality, Chris called for Ethan. "Ethan, it's time. Let's register for a PK." He gathers power in his hands and declares it this way. All the conditions of the match will be established as a ball of light is launched into the sky. The NPC warrior, Ethan, opens his eyes wide, trying to see that ball. Ariel looks up at the sky in astonishment as a robotic figure emerges from that light. "O warriors of the night." After appearing, it screams, "Are you ready to fight?" That NPC warrior of the night is. The system begins to explain about this type of PK, a battle between players that takes place in a separate area. This is a form of combat. It is monitored and controlled by the system. The Night Warrior, standing high above, declares to both of them before the duel, "Do you want to gain anything from your opponent?" After winning, of course. Chris today is graciously letting Ethan choose first. "No need to rush you, go ahead, Pastor." Ethan, trembling, makes his request, "I need the deep-sea memory item for my team member." Limarum takes that as a wager. The Night Warrior wants to know your request. Driss's request is clear, so what about you? He doesn't hide it, and states his condition. "If I win, I will take all his stat points." And I also set a condition for the opponent's advantage. Ariel, upon hearing Rich's condition, becomes panicked. What stat points? How can that be reasonable? But the deity wants to know the answer from the Night Warrior NPC. Is that okay? But she remains silent, deep in thought without speaking. The deity, with a cheerful face, points at the Night Warrior and exclaims, "I'm asking about his betting condition, so is that really the wager?" After hearing this, she realizes that Chris has a betting trait. To not prolong the time any further, the Night Warrior prepares to announce, "Is there any more confusion? Let's begin. The match will start after this." Then someone interrupts her. "Wait a minute, what now?" The deity starts to act up, stammering. "Earlier, the opponent added a condition for my advantage, meaning if I land a hit, I will win." "That's good, forget it." Seeing him like that, Chris warns, "What are you crazy?" It's What's been said here can't be taken back." Ethan feigns innocence and explains, "Oh, I know. However, if I set a condition for an advantage, I might rely on it too much." But Chris smiles with satisfaction and declares, "Whatever you want. Don't say I haven't given you a chance. Now, let's go." But once again, Ethan interrupts, making him annoyed. "Not yet, I want to add another condition." He pretends to be clueless, stammering his request. "Oh, I don't want anyone to surrender midway, so let's make the condition for losing when health points reach 0. "That sounds better." After consideration, the Night Warrior agrees to Ethan's condition, but the opponent must also accept it. Though dissatisfied, Chris still has to agree. "If you agree to fight, then let's start." Ethan bows his head as if he wants to say something. "Oh, I've confirmed again with the Night Warrior. Do you hear me clearly, NPC? The only condition for losing is when health points reach 0. Ethan finally smirks, reminding, "Remember that well." Yes, standing up high and declaring that the match is allowed to begin after hearing the signal. Chris quickly jumped into the air. His specialty is to win swiftly. He drew the sword from behind his back, and his strength seemed quite formidable. He quickly attacked the weak points before his opponent could even realize. The trait of the elite assassin is faster than the wind, increasing agility by 25%. With his agility, Chris charged straight towards Ethan. The agility stat suddenly surged to 250 in this world. It can be said that currently no player can react to Chris's lightning-fast attack. His sword was almost touching Ethan's neck. Not only that, Chris also had another trait that made him even more confident in his victory over Ethan, which was the massacre support, an achievement that could only be attained after killing 500 support class players, and the stats it provided were incredibly terrifying. A 100% increase in attack power and a 25% critical hit rate when attacking. As a support class player, Chris felt confident facing Ethan. To Chris, a pastor like Ethan was just a rabbit standing in front of a lion's claws. His sword was nearly touching Ethan's neck. "Here it is. Hand over all your stats to me." But unexpectedly, the sword broke in half when it touched Ethan's neck. Chris was taken aback by the sight. He was hit so hard that his face was unrecognizable. Before Chris could recover, he fell down like a rocket, betting on himself with a face covered in wounds. Ethan continuously kicked Chris, shouting, "So many people didn't choose but dared to challenge me," while Chris yelled, confused about what was happening. "What do you mean by betting?" Chris was slammed down into the ground. When everyone heard the noise, they approached to see what was happening down there. Chris's body was a mess. Was someone dead? No. He was still gasping for breath. He had been beaten to a pulp and couldn't get up. But can this be considered still alive? When his entire body had become unrecognizable, Ethan's blow had left Chris's body only with the pain. His remaining vitality was under 10. His bones were completely shattered, and his nerves only transmitted pain. For the first time in his life, Chris experienced absolute power. From that, a terrifying emotion arose within him, surpassing fear, to the point of making one doubt their will to live. This feeling Chris. At this moment, he recalled what he had said before. Not leaving any space for belief or self-esteem, he truly felt the depth of his pain and emotion closer to instinct than anything else. Terrified of violence, but still existing somewhere, Chris's will to survive felt like a tiny ant within him. He felt like he had turned into an insect, having been taken over by someone else, reduced to a pulp standing before a being that didn't even bother to notice that it had accidentally crushed that insect. This shattered Chris's will. This oppression seemed to have destroyed something within him, which was Chris's fighting spirit. Ethan had crushed Chris's will. The current situation had broken his resolve. Ethan then flew down in front of him, calling out, "Hey, Chris," with his body full of injuries, now pleading, "Please save me." The healer pretended not to hear and asked him back, "What save you?" With a cheerful face, he readily agreed to that request, saying, "How could I let you die?" The healer used his power to heal Chris, restoring him fully. Once Chris returned to his current form, he pleaded with Ethan, "Please don't hit me anymore. I give up." Ethan, with a mischievous face, thought, but both sides agreed to the rules from the start. "It's as if I'm the bad guy here. You can't just recover like that." Chris, with a terrified face, cried out desperately, "Please. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I was completely wrong. You can have whatever you want. I spent all my money on equipment, please, but then I just punched him straight in the head. I kicked him hard, scolding him. 'You look like a beggar, huh?' Wait, I'm sorry." After beating Chris down to the ground, he barked back at Ethan, who leaned in close this time, stuffing words into his mouth. "What do you want to live?" Once again, you generously restored Chris, saving him. So, is he fully healed now? He's handsome again, so let's keep going, right? But Chris, out of fear, couldn't stop the tears from flowing and immediately ran away from Ethan, shouting for help. This guy is crazy. But Chris secretly affirmed to himself, no, he's not human. He's a demon. Ethan glanced sideways with a contemplative look, his injured body trying to stop him. That's enough. Ethan once again used another skill. "Lucky for you," he said with a furious gaze. "I don't have much time." Immediately, Ethan chased right after Chris. Let's declare the end. All that could be heard was Chris's desperate screams as he fell victim to Ethan's attack. Once again, Ethan kicked him down to the ground, and Chris was like a stake driven deep into the earth. He continued to be beaten, bruised, and unable to escape with that white hair and those tattoos. Could it be? At this moment, everyone realized Chris's identity. The Chris they mentioned, the savior, was him. What happened to him? They took out their phones, and the person filming quickly called out to the others, "Hurry, report this." They pulled out their phones to record, and through the screen, they confirmed Chris's image. It really is him. He seemed contemplative upon seeing this scene, the red-haired guy. Everything was calculated by him beforehand. It was all a trick to provoke and disturb his opponent, making someone appear as a madman in the eyes of others, and everything went according to his plan. The ultimate goal of these provocations was to lure the opponent. Betting, according to your will, Ethan slowly approached Chris, explaining, to complete a PK match, the first thing is to summon the NPC for battle, so that the opponent has no chance to retreat. But everything he did had its reasons behind it. Chris quietly listened to what Ethan revealed, continuously flattering him as he began to attack the opponent's arrogance. Yes, that's right, completely accurate. "I'm sorry, where did you learn these things? Surely you didn't figure it out on your own, right?" Chris, in a state of desperation, pleaded, "I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I lost." "Please stop, it's all because of that song." Please, in the end, Ethan finally heard about the one behind this incident. "Huh, so that's the one behind you?" He didn't hesitate to question the guy. "Hey, you the one named Song. Did you teach this guy how to gamble who imitates others like that?" With that, Ethan used a healing skill on Chris. "You've touched something forbidden now." Full recovery, but Chris, with his body full of injuries, was gradually healing. "Weren't you done with this?" Another punch was about to land on his face. The aura of that madman Ethan continued to swing his fist straight at Chris's face, something no one had ever done before. He punched while teaching him a lesson daring to impersonate. In the past, there were only a few punks pretending to be something they weren't, and Chris could only stay silent and endure. Enough with the jokes already. Seriously, someone just unleashed a flurry of punches on him like he was a punching bag, and now he's in trouble with Lao Tzu while warning a few others as he hit Chris. You guys just sit tight and wait. This lesson for him is also Ethan's threat. Let's see if you dare to imitate me again, you dogs. He jumped up and swung his fist straight into Chris's face, declaring, "I'm coming to teach you what authentic really means." Chris got knocked back far away. Those people out there are on the phone. By doing that, he crashed into those people. Ethan picked up the phone from those people, questioning the person on the other end. "Hey, is that you? What is your real name?" He flashed a sinister smile, threatening, "Next up is you bastard." After hearing that, there was a long silence. He seemed to want to engrave the image of the deity in his mind, and the red-haired girl had now arrived, declaring Ethan the winner as she pointed forward, speaking as if it was agreed upon. Ethan looked up at the girl, waiting for the result using the deep-sea memory on Ariam, and the potion flew over to pour into Ariam's mouth. After she drank it, the system announced. The deep-sea memory effect was impacting Lim Ariam, and the number above Ariam's head was gradually fading as the system removed all adverse effects. The time paradox on Lim Ariam had been erased, and Ariam told Ethan how she felt right now. No more pain, it had vanished without a trace. She, with a gentle face, called Ethan, "It's all thanks to you." Ethan, unable to hide his tears, replied, "Thank you, Ethan," but he just looked at her indifferently. Ariam called Ethan's name with a tearful smile, even though his current appearance was that of a leveling warrior hacker, reminding him of Ames and the memories he shared with Ariam. Fighting side by side, those familiar memories with old teammates flooded back for no apparent reason. Just a fleeting image like that was enough to move him. Ethan was trembling, trying to hold back his tears, almost unable to contain them. The great leveling warrior closed his eyes tightly, reddening them, deciding to let those tears fall, only when Ames's memories returned, looking forward to a bright tomorrow. The two of them finally remembered Sora's existence. Sora is waiting, they realized. Right, we haven't been able to contact him because we're in the dungeon. He must be really worried. We need to call him right away. Suddenly, something appeared, making the two look up. Ethan, seeing it, exclaimed, "Wow, that's impressive." Thousands of planes appeared above them. Fighting alongside helicopters sure knows how to welcome guests. All forces of the Taiji Guild have been mobilized. He looked up at those planes. He thought to himself, "This is going to be interesting." They even prepared a backup plan in case the assassins failed. Those planes soared over his head, making him think, the leader of the #1 guild in South Korea is not just a facade out at sea. There are also warships gradually entering. He wondered how they managed to gather so many warships and planes. Wasn't this like mobilizing a national army? No need to go far to this country to catch me, huh? Everyone witnessing that scene was also very surprised. What's going on, senior? What's happening? So many jets and warships are heading our way. One of them felt anxious about the current situation. What do you mean, jets and warships? Are they really going all out like this? This area is about to turn into a battlefield. Those who are still here are definitely going to get caught in the crossfire, so they better turn around and run, reminding their teammates that if they don't want to die, they need to get out of here as fast as possible. People still don't understand the current situation and keep asking why it's so dangerous. What's going on? The explosion will destroy the entire area, of course. But Chris, with his body full of injuries, is just waking up. He looks up at the sky, still confused about why he's alive and running. What's going on? Why is everyone running away? But Chris now realizes what's above him. It's the response force dealing with the dungeon outbreak. That bastard is after him, and he quickly takes off running. He's really lost it. Is he trying to kill me too? The sunset is casting down over the calm sea. Large planes are hovering, dropping bombs below, and everything is gradually being destroyed as people in the city witness it. This scene is shocking. What's happening? That was a huge explosion by the coast, and some people are filming it on their phones. This is terrifying. It's like there's a war going on. I can't believe it. Everyone on the streets is pulling out their phones to check the news. What should we do now? What the hell is happening? The phone is now showing a video of the explosion at sea. This is an emergency report, and even the news has put Ethan's image up to warn people. A bombing just occurred at the Incheon port, and the main suspect in this incident has been identified as Ethan, 34 years old. Jin, they've started reporting on today's explosion. According to the information received, a few hours ago there was a massive explosion at the Flame Guild headquarters in Gangnam, and the perpetrator was also Ethan. They've invited Ion Tong here for an interview. The Flame Guild leader, Mr. Kim Ion Tong, is with us for today's broadcast. Hello, sir. Yes, it's a pleasure. Can you share more details with the audience about the recent incident? Can you tell us about what happened? John Tong, with his body full of injuries, recounts the events. As the guild leader responsible for security in South Korea, I feel deeply ashamed to admit. The strength of the terrorist, Ethan, is completely superior to the members of Flame. He even cried pitifully while recounting what he witnessed. After infiltrating the headquarters, he destroyed and stole nearly all of our assets. What he left behind before leaving was just a pile of rubble. Many guild members were seriously injured while trying to stop that terrorist. My younger brother was also severely injured and is currently receiving special treatment. The news then shows images of him, and they start explaining. Thank you, Mr. Kim Eon Tong. According to police investigations, the suspect was a tenjak and is highly likely to have just been promoted in the dungeon around 3 this afternoon. A man on a motorcycle reported that he was attacked on the road in Gangnam. The question is, why was a tenjak previously anonymous involved? Suddenly, he became a bold terrorist like he is now. There was a phone call to the station. Yes, I understand. Is the news accurate? I would like to consult the expert's opinion on this matter. The host picked up the phone to talk to them. Excuse me, are you the president of the Taiji Association? It's a pleasure to share what I know and report it based on what the association has gathered. I would like to briefly assess the current situation. Ethan is now a red code player at level S, confidently asserting himself to everyone. He had plotted these terrorist acts beforehand, blaming all the crimes he committed on Ethan, according to intelligence reports, with the goal of seizing resources from the dungeons. Taiji's true identity is a foreign red code player, disguised as a South Korean citizen to infiltrate the country and steal equipment. The Taiji Association will have an appropriate response plan for this case, as they harbor resentment towards Ethan's actions, claiming that you dare to call my work a forgery. We will continue to update the situation at the scene of the fire. We will do our best to ensure security for South Korea and the peace of the world. To let you shine a bit, Lin, a member of the Taiji Association, lost his life in the recent terrorist attack. He not only showed no remorse, but also made excuses for himself, even if we bombed this entire country. No one would dare to say anything, but you will become the public's #1 enemy. That's the price to pay for daring to hold our flag, the great sources of light, shining down on the place where the fire just occurred. The information plane has arrived at the scene. This is a shield. Everyone was overjoyed to see its appearance. It's wonderful that everyone is safe. When facing those bombs, thanks to the whitewashing, no one lost their life after the recent explosion. Chris, with a battered face, looked up at the sky, wondering if they had prepared for this situation. Everyone outside admired the scene endlessly. The Taiji Association truly does not sleep. They are the leading association in South Korea. They don't know the truth behind it and still cheer for him. On behalf of the public, I express our appreciation. He smiled a fake smile, but acknowledged, yes, someone is staring at the phone, exclaiming that indeed the deity used his power to save everyone here. Yes, nothing much. He looked up at the camera and questioned, "Hey camera, do you see me performing magic?" Now people only believe his words and criticize the deity, the criminal. The cold-blooded murderer is saying something to the camera. Ethan waved his hand through the camera, explaining, "They aren't setting up a barrier, hey you bastard." But before he could finish explaining, the camera abruptly shut off. Damn, the transmission cut out just as new information came in. Someone forcefully threw the camera to the ground. In his anger, he stomped on that camera. Damn it, he was really curious about Ethan's identity. What the hell is this? Who the hell is that bastard? I'm sorry, we're still investigating. He quickly ordered his subordinates to find out the identities of his parents and friends. I want to see that bastard's miserable face. The planes are still continuing to bomb Ethan. The warships are gradually approaching him. That pastor is incredible. Marilda, after witnessing the scene, exclaimed that they managed to intercept hundreds of missiles. He even smugly laughed. Chris really knows how to have fun. You're still so pleased with yourself, laughing and joking. Chris really knows how to have fun. Bertari is contemplating Chris's strength as he hits the limits in speed and agility, and thanks to luck, he's climbed to a high position with those two maximum stats. The term N-rankers is slang for players with extreme stats. Chris, with 2 extreme stats, will be a 2-star ranker. If you reach 4 stars or higher, things would be different, but even the frog next to me drinking has agreed with him. That's right. But is it really necessary to mobilize 4 high-level leaders like this? Not only that, but she also calmly replied, "After all, in South Korea, there isn't anyone above 3 stars." Yoshiharu had also deduced something at this point. No need to complain. H is M's confidant, and his orders are also M's orders, so he confidently asserted that M's commands are absolute. Yoshiharu gripped his sword tightly. He swung the sword towards the deity, causing him to be taken aback. What the hell is this? Yoshiharu's sword was right in front of him. He thought to himself, that was indeed a lightning-fast strike. But with his agile reflexes, the deity managed to duck and avoid the attack. However, looking at Yoshiharu in front of him, he felt suspicious. The game had only just started a year ago. How could such power already exist? Unexpectedly, Ethan was hit by Yoshiharu, getting a small injury on his nose, yet he was still hurt. With such extreme defense stats, it seemed like he was a formidable opponent. After trying his first strike, Yoshiharu admitted, "It seems I've underestimated you." Unexpectedly, his sword cleaved everything nearby in half. Even the other warriors were split in 2 by Yoshiharu. The houses he struck were beginning to collapse, and the deity with an angry face exclaimed, "Ugh!" The bastard quickly rushed towards Yoshiharu, questioning, "Are you really attacking to save them, or just chopping like bananas?" While rushing towards him, Ethan sensed something. Wow, this skill isn't from a novice. Even if he accumulated stats by betting, Yoshiharu could still block my attack, and deep down he acknowledged it. But to read my attack and defend like that, it requires at least 2 years of battle experience to understand the opponent's strength. Ethan jumped back, looking at his hand, pondering silently. Not only that, but my hand is also numb now. If he can deal damage while defending, then his strength and agility stats must also be at their peak. And then, the system panel appeared before Ethan, once again leaving him confused. What is this? Quest system from the employer. The leaf shelters the torn leaf. See for those injured around you, light injuries over 952, severe injuries over 57. If successful, receive 1.5 times the base salary plus double the pay. If you fail, termination. The demands from the system made the deity furious. Are you kidding me? We're in the middle of a fight, and you want me to save people? This boss is definitely a capitalist. Moreover, the system issued a warning that made his attitude flip 180 degrees. Your dissatisfaction with the system is at 50%. If it reaches 100%, you will be terminated. I'm a little angel saving the world. The deity finally accepted the system's request. All right then. The boss says I have to listen, but the pay better be decent. The boss said we have to listen, but make sure the pay is decent, all right? Once again, he used his healing skills. Everyone, after being treated by the god of healing, returned to normal, not just those who were revived. Even the buildings were restored by him after he fully recovered all systems. The system notification from the employer confirmed the mission was complete. Heal the injured around you. Light injuries on 952, severe injuries on 57, if successful. Receive 1.5 times the base salary plus double the bonus. Now that the task is done, the god in his mind is a bit hesitant about the upcoming choices. In the upcoming class change, I'll be able to keep 2 skills from the priest class, which is pretty good, but I'm not sure which 2 skills to choose. Suddenly, a large meteorite was hurtling towards him. What's with the meteorite? This made Ethan scream out. Is this a game against the clock? Where are the monsters? Why are you all just standing around? So it turns out everything was caused by Marilda. Only now did she decide to get involved. Marilda. Someone is leisurely popping blueberries into their mouth while my meteorite is a powerful spell. Bitch Frog was enjoying the fruit while explaining so his holy shield, which was effective against physical attacks, wouldn't hold up against this. Everything she does is meant to challenge him. The god made a choice. In this case, he had to decide. He could only choose one of the 2 options and couldn't just stand by and ignore it. Create a magical barrier or use the holy shield to block the physical attack. The god had witnessed this. They're using both physical and magical attacks. That's insane. The system once again issued a requirement forcing him to protect everyone. I knew this day would come. Emergency mission system, protect 1592 lives. The bosses want to ensure no one gets hurt. The reward is a 5-fold salary increase. I've prepared for this situation. The god reluctantly complied while not forgetting to curse the boss. He used his wings to fly towards the meteorite, but Bitch Frog was still casually watching the outcome. He thought to himself, what is he doing? Charging to intercept the meteorite. No way, babe. Ethan, with a determined look, rushed towards the meteorite. He shouted, clenching his fists, ready to dive straight into the meteorite. He was serious, and Bitch Frog witnessed the scene. So surprised that he dropped the fruit from his mouth, Marilda felt excited by Ethan's actions. How dare he fly up there? The missiles were being launched, one after another. Those missiles, they have a trajectory. Those missiles were all aimed at Ethan. He felt their heat and glanced at the series of missiles heading straight for him. He created a massive explosion below. Witnessing Ethan being attacked by the missiles, someone shouted, Ethan! A figure stood silently on the battleship's roof, watching Yoshiharu. After confirming it was clear that it was over, Marilda had also witnessed the entire scene. Did you see that? She confidently asserted that science beats magic this time, but suddenly a hand appeared and struck Marilda right on the head, deforming her skull. After being hit by those missiles, Ethan was left battered. What a drag, his clothes were all torn. After his recent blow, Marilda exploded, leaving him dumbfounded. Wait! She exploded? Is she a robot? Bitch Frog opened her eyes wide, unable to believe the scene before her. Even Yoshiharu was surprised to see Ethan Battery appear, his dangerous gaze making Ethan look helpless and pleading. Just let them go home to rest for a bit, but even singing in the room witnessed the scene just now. At this rate, I'm going to be abandoned, singing with worry, silently calling out for Mom. It seems like he and his mother have made a pact. I have to keep my promise to her. I must eliminate all the 10 jacks. At this moment, one of Hot's subordinates rushed into the room, quickly reporting what he had found. The accomplice saw that the person was dawdling, which made him furious, shouting, Why are you taking so long? Speak up. The subordinate recounted everything he knew to Hot. He had gone to Inchin with 2 colleagues from the company. Besides the colleagues from the company, he also revealed a few things. They were the only people he interacted with, but currently it's very hard to find them. Among them, one person is already missing. Hearing this made Cho Hot furious, grinding his teeth. Let's start from that company. Who knows, maybe we can find something useful. At this moment, someone had also read the news about the god of medicine. The god of medicine is a terrorist. Surely not right. Sora read the news and couldn't believe it. No way, they've known each other for so long. Suddenly, she felt like someone was there. She turned her head to see someone approaching. Who could it be? The sky had become peaceful and blue again, and the god of medicine was flying in the air, standing in front of the large ships. He spoke now, wearing a sinister smile, teasing them, Who will be the next lucky one to taste my punches? Suddenly, the door in the room opened. Yoshiharu was surprised to see that person open the door. Bertari no longer hid, but directly confronted Ethan, confidently declaring, I will use the power of the Dragon Knight. All Beachcock and Yoshiharu were stunned by Bertari's action. Moreover, he reminded the two to give it their all. Black circles appeared on Bertari's arm. If not, those black dots would keep swirling around his body. Bertari, with a determined look, advised, It's going to be very disappointing. He quickly donned the armor, transforming into the Green Dragon Knight. With this armor on, he became confident, asserting, From now on, the situation will change. I am Battery, the Green Dragon Knight. Absolutely amazing. Seeing the mocking attitude of the god of medicine made Cho furious, blood boiling. Be serious. At this moment, Ethan's notification sound echoed continuously. Level up system, level up complete. The god of medicine was delighted with his new identity, escaping the priesthood. Additionally, the system provided a few more details. The special effects of the 7 professions were cleansed and purified through the level up. With a pure body and a relaxed spirit, Ethan saw the system activate skills for himself and was very excited, waiting for the system to activate the special passive skill of the profession. The 7 professions are coming. What profession will it be this time? While Ethan was waiting for the level up, Yoshiharu had already calculated in his mind. This was the opportunity. Bitchcock wanted to ambush Ethan during this moment. We must seize the chance. While he was off guard, she imagined the scenario of the three of them teaming up against Ethan, a combination attack from three high-level fighters. It would definitely bring the battle to an end. The god of medicine on this side was still hesitating about his choice. What should I do now? The unique side job skill required a 2 out of 2. The necessary speed for the next use would double. Miner's hourly wage 500 XP, mechanics hourly wage 500 XP, idle's hourly wage 3000 XP. Note: if you do not complete the responsibilities of the side job, you will be heavily penalized. It seems that this choice of his made him very satisfied. It was just right for the profession he wanted to try. The god was so happy that he couldn't stop smiling. This was just too amazing. Finally, he made his decision cool and strong, just like a mechanic. While the god was hesitating, a voice rang out. "Hey, there's a superstar getting a lot of EXP. What should I choose now?" The two jerks appeared behind him. "You dare to ignore us." The three members of the Bertry group attacked Ethan, simultaneously questioning his arrogance to see if he would still look down on them. Beach Cop began to use his skill, the Water Dragon's ultimate technique, but Yoshiharu wasn't to be outdone. A sword appeared from his throat. Releasing his sword energy, Moonchika, the three of them charged at Ethan, wanting to attack with the Water Dragon's combined skill, creating an immense source of energy. Let's finish this. Ethan was still pondering his choice, witnessing that scene, and was taken aback as his hand almost touched the system panel. Then he wondered, "Hey, wait! Hold on, if I'm choosing, can I still dodge the attack?" Yutan tried to explain right at that moment. The age-old transformation technique shouldn't be interrupted, but they wouldn't let him choose his skill. They charged at him, and fragments of unknown origin appeared where they attacked. With such a strong blow, Yoshiharu felt pleased, thinking he would die without a trace, but suddenly, a massive whirlwind appeared. Bitch! He opened his eyes wide, unable to hide his surprise on his face. What the hell is this? Battery was very suspicious. He was still alive. Ethan's finger hovered in the air, not yet selecting from the system panel. "Because of you guys, I almost have to dance the 0-2 dance." A bead of sweat rolled down his face. It seemed he was very scared. Ethan had just managed to choose the skill he wanted. He almost got wiped out, but thankfully he boosted his strength. Even Ariel was confused by his actions. The 0-2 dance, just kidding. The god pulled her out of danger while the system kept notifying, "You have left the pastor profession to take on a new job." The system calculates your severance pay. You have achieved the title of God's Messenger, so you must spread his love to everyone. Success increases your hourly wage by 1.5 times, doubling your severance pay, saving 1,529 lives. Success increases your hourly wage by 5 times. Wow, this is great. At this rate, I'll level up quickly. The system recorded that you received 4 intermediate experience boxes and 7 intermediate experience boxes. The system asks you to choose a skill reward from the severance pay. 2 unique career skills. This is just too good. I've already thought it through. I know what skill to choose. Ethan became excited to gain a new skill that he could use with his current skills, which were resurrection and potion crafting combined with his understanding of the mechanics structure. Then he could easily craft deep sea tears. Awesome, a new job, right? The system started a new part-time job as a junior mechanic with a wage of 500 XP per hour. Ethan glanced back over his shoulder. He saw a beam of light emanating the system collecting a toolbox. The system applied intelligence stats to upgrade the exclusive weapon, which was activated, and now he carried a toolbox behind him. The specialized profession system displayed that the toolbox had been upgraded to a supercomputer. Good morning, it's a dynamic and healthy day. Additionally, Ethan received a pair of glasses. The glasses began to introduce themselves. "My name is Super. I'm here to assist you in your mechanical crafting process. So what can we create?" In front of Ethan were many data sheets. The shopper explained to him, "Your stats are very high. You can craft many types of machinery. Is it because of the stat adjustments earlier? If it's just a junior level, I might not fight well." But suddenly a danger alert rang out. "In 1 second, you'll be decapitated." The shaper not only warned, but also actively dodged the opponent's attack, helping Ethan activate the automatic dodge. The box behind him had 2 engines attached to the bottom, and it began to activate. And so that box automatically helped Ethan fly away. Yoshiharu, witnessing this scene, couldn't help but be surprised. Ethan, while flying off, didn't forget to pull Arium along. Ethan, when you saw this new function, you couldn't help but be amazed. It's incredible that you can even dodge while choosing a mechanical profession. Ethan was dizzy in the back, silently thinking that the first thing to do is to find a way to protect Ariel, who has become super. I want to create a means of transportation that quickly appears in front of Ethan. I'm ready. These are the devices based on your stats, providing you with many designs. You have 377 designs to choose from, so pick one. Ethan grinned mischievously. Of course, he had his eyes set on that giant robot and decided to choose the strongest one. The giant super robot is scanning the area around Ethan for materials to begin the process of creating the giant robot, but there aren't enough materials. This design requires a large amount of iron within a 5-kilometer radius. Can you gather enough necessary materials? Do you want to proceed with the collection? Ethan didn't hesitate to confirm, of course I do. At that moment, from the box behind Y, then small workers jumped out using their gathering skills. The workers quickly jumped down to start searching for materials. Let's get started. Yoshiharu, seeing those small workers, was very curious about what they were. Toys, even Peach Cop was suspicious. Did he summon machinery? But he's a pastor, right? Bertari, witnessing that scene, was also confused about what his profession really was. The small workers jumped onto the battleship while some other workers jumped onto the planes. They grinned mischievously, wielding axes in their hands, attacking the ship by striking the axes down. Below the ship, the workers were actively gathering materials. It seemed like thousands of robot workers jumped down to collect materials, dismantling the battleship, and had gathered 67 pieces of iron and fuel. Shaper continuously updated the situation with Ethan starting the robot creation process at 12%. Yoshiharu could only stand still observing the situation. Both the battleship and the fighter planes were also, and Bertari had also stopped being cautious with Ethan. No matter what his profession was, it was too dangerous. This guy was definitely a big threat. He continued to fly towards Ethan, wanting to attack. He began to use his skills, unleashing a massive energy source towards Ethan. Long, the breath of death vanished. But even so, he remained calm in the face of that energy. Just then, Super reported to Ethan that the giant robot was ready. Battery continued to use his breath of death, spewing it towards the city. Under his power, the city was instantly turned into ruins. It was truly horrifying, transforming an entire area into a sea of fire. Battery was anxious, waiting for the results. Suddenly, a robot appeared, leaving him stunned. It was Super. Quickly, he commanded that robot. Activate the robot HCLV. All three members of the Peach Cop group were stunned when they saw what was in front of them, a robot. Ethan successfully donned the robot armor, activating the HCLV robot. That robot had become stronger than before, and the three of them were astonished, watching closely. Bertari quickly regained his composure and ordered the other two. What are you standing around for? Attack! Ethan's robot had become stronger and more resilient than ever. Ethan and Ariel sat inside, controlling that robot. Arium looked outside, marveling at the view. When activating the HCLV robot, all three members of Team Peachcock were stunned to see what was in front of them, a robot star. Ethan successfully donned the robot armor, activating the HCLV robot, which had now become even stronger. The other three watched in awe. Bertari quickly regained his composure and ordered the other two. What are you just standing there for? Attack. Ethan's robot is stronger and tougher than ever. Sahariti. Ethan and Ariel were inside controlling the robot, while Arium looked outside marveling at the view. She quickly reported the current situation to Ethan about an incoming attack. Hearing this, he reassured her not to worry as one of Ethan's robots immediately activated its skill. To deal with the three of them, that pesky fly, the robot's shield skill. Fortunately, he used the shield to block Bertari's attack. Even he didn't expect Ethan to be able to block it so easily. It can't be like that. That bitch over there declared foolishly, I'll freeze you. She then shot a blast of ice energy towards Ethan, and just like that, his robot legs were frozen. Next, the entire body of the robot was completely frozen. All the joints were immobilized by the freezing effect, and Ariel inside was also frozen. She wanted to know Ethan's opinion. What should we do, Ethan? Even though he was frozen, he still tried to calm her down. Stay calm, just wait for the right moment. It's been a while since Peachcock called Yoshiharu. It's time, Yoshiharu. Yoshiharu rushed to Ethan with his sword. Releasing the sword energy, Mun Chika Super was trying to activate the system loading the spell. Yoshiharu's sword was getting closer to Ethan. Suddenly, the robot's eye lit up. Just then, Super announced that the fire spell had finished loading. Ethan's robot quickly unleashed its firepower. Yoshiharu was countered before he even understood what was happening. At this moment, Ethan had thawed out and felt more confident now he directly faced Bertari. At the same time, something gradually appeared on Ethan's robot arm, downloading weapons from the data vault. The knight's sword appeared in Ethan's robotic hand. Ethan smiled confidently as he took the sword. At that moment, a huge explosion occurred on the ground. Ethan, with the sword in hand, charged straight ahead, preparing to face two water dragons in front of him. But with his strength, Ethan quickly took them down. Using the Moon Soul Slash to confront Bertari, a small water space appeared. A hand reached out from it, and a tiny figure could block Ethan's attack, but the god truly did not expect this event. Someone appeared and declared, "This kid is mine." The god widened his eyes in disbelief at what was before him. The bell had already rung. That person with 3 pairs of wings on his back asserted, "You have memories from the previous world. You are an obstacle." The one with the wings firmly declared, "I will erase you." The one who appeared to block the god's attack was La Lu, the leader of the sect with countless levels. He continued to swing his sword at La Lu, asserting, "Looks like you forgot the key point. You are the one to be erased, not me, you damn white mage." But La Lu calmly faced Ethan's attack, all his stats. With just a snap of his fingers, he caused Ethan's robot body to disintegrate. That concept also came from the previous world. Immediately, the two fell out of their robots, and in this world, there were no limits. Ethan couldn't hide his anger at La Lu's actions. He attacked the two, declaring, "I am 100 times stronger than you." La Lu continued to gather his power, threatening the god. "Get lost with your power." The god could only stand still and endure, not knowing what to do except wait for the upcoming result. La Lu set up his formation to eliminate Ethan, indeed a frog sitting at the bottom of a well. This time, Ethan seemed scared of his power, but fortunately, he was still in time. He looked surprised at the scene before him when suddenly someone appeared to save Ethan. "You're not dead yet." Ethan seemed to recognize the identity of that person. Hacker-leveling warrior. Right now, outside Sora's house, someone was knocking continuously, calling out, "Is anyone there?" The person outside the door proclaimed their identity. "Police, police, I see Sora." They threatened her with words. "Open the door quickly, or we will take strong measures." "They're not the police, just a bunch of thugs. Hurry up and get out of here. It's chaotic." Sora was caught off guard when they barged into her house. What the hell is going on? The underlings of that thick-skinned guy just want her to obediently follow them. Sora held her phone, warning them, "I'm calling the police, I'm not joking." But the thugs just laughed it off and taunted her back. "Go ahead, try it." They quickly charged at Sora, wanting to knock her out. She felt a flash of fear at their overwhelming numbers, but the witch stepped in to protect Ethan from La Lu. In this game, La Lu didn't hold back, attacking them with nearly all her strength, while the witch remained calm, snapping her fingers, and instantly the sky cleared up again. She questioned La Lu, "Do you even know who the real opponent is?" "You want to break the game, right? I heard you're interested in the final part of this game." Meanwhile, in another place, someone was speeding on a motorcycle, shouting back to the person behind, "Is this the right place, man?" Then he drove straight into Sora's house. Surrounded by robbers, Sora was at a loss. One of the thugs had grabbed her and demanded, "Who the hell are you?" But before he could understand the situation, someone rushed in and kicked him right in the face. The kick sent the thug flying, leaving Sora surprised. When she didn't recognize him, Sora heard someone call her name and turned around. It was him, smiling and teasing her. "How could you forget this handsome face?" La Lu saw this and exclaimed, "So it's you, the witch." Then he reminded her, "If you want to recruit him, just know that idiot has failed before." However, the witch didn't care about that. "You've failed too, Kwang Tun Long. If you don't back off, don't blame me for being harsh." La Lu stayed silent for a moment before finally agreeing. "This time, I'll let it go," he said, turning away, but not forgetting to remind, "Fighting against a god without permission is forbidden." La Lu then ordered, "All of you, put down your weapons." Suddenly, he called out to the witch. La Lu's words carried a warning, "Next time we meet, be prepared to die." He stated something important before disappearing. At that time, I had already asked for permission to kill you." Hearing Lalu say that, she fell silent for a moment. Then the witch sighed, complaining, "Why do you always want to fight?" She turned to greet Y, then, "It's been a while." HCLV Kep was surprised to see him and exclaimed, "Which Y? Then I have so many questions. What did Kwang Ten Long do to overpower me so easily?" The witch felt a bit awkward and replied, "About that, it's a little embarrassing. The current situation can't be explained in a short time. Sit down, let me explain everything. But first I suggest we bring Sora along too. They might have already found her hideout." Ariam was shocked to receive this information. Ethan, frustrated, gritted his teeth. "Damn it, why are you only saying this now?" The witch saw him rushing off and called out, "Wait, don't rush. There's no need to worry." She explained the current situation. "I've already sent protection." Ethan turned around questioning, "Who is the protector?" In response to his urgency, the witch calmly replied, "Someone strong enough for you." The scene shifted to a store that had been completely wrecked. Ji-hoon, feeling down, said, "How could I forget this handsome face?" Drip looked at the unfamiliar group and questioned, "Who are these people?" Sora was extremely puzzled. "Do I know you?" She observed Ji-hoon's appearance and remarked that upon closer inspection, she recognized his strawberry-colored hair and build. After a while, Sora finally realized he was the old man who owned the food shop across the street. At that moment, he confirmed, "Yeah, I really am the owner, but I'm not some old man, okay?" Ji-hoon felt a bit upset and sighed. "Come on, you really can't remember my name." "Hey, you up front, it's really annoying. This isn't the time to be guessing each other's names." The impatient Taiji crew rushed in to handle it. Drip, facing danger, cursed under his breath. "Damn it." His expression suddenly changed. "Hey, senior, could you be a little more polite? At least greet properly." After that, Drip used his strength to take down one guy in an instant. Many people fell to him as Drip continued charging towards the big guy, who cried out in pain as he was thrown aside. The guy with black hair couldn't defend himself and collided with the car behind him. Meanwhile, Drip, feeling very confident, called out, "You guys good." Sora in the back skeptically asked, "Wait, are you a professor?" Ji-hoon immediately denied her question. Sora, a bit flustered, replied, "Honestly, I don't remember." He patiently insisted, "Come on, try to remember. You've already annoyed enough by the actions of those two." She said she doesn't remember.